COD fans to what we're calling the Call of Duty Mobile Roundtable. Spoiler alert, there's no table, and if there was one, it probably wouldn't be round. On my whole shift, with me, I've got the legendary, illustrious, and relatively handsome Bobby Plays. I've also got Hippo with me, and of course, the now Indian COD Mobile sensation, Tectonic. Gents, starting with Mr. Bobby Plays, how we feeling, my guy?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited to get COD Mobile esports action up and running. It's been a little bit of a dry spell, but there's a lot to talk about and a lot that's getting started up in the month of March, so it should be a lot of fun.
Should be a lot of fun. Gigabrain Hippo, legendary coach, all-star dresser. What are we feeling?
Yeah, no, I think, same sentiment as Bobby. Overall, I think we're just going to have an incredibly exciting season. There's so much to look forward to, and a lot of announcements that have been made about the changes that are going to happen in COD Mobile as a whole. So super excited to talk about all of this.
Tech, the one pro player here on the board. Bobby didn't qualify, so it's just you?
I mean, I didn't qualify either if we're talking about that, man.
Is that true?
Bobby made it further than me, bro.
I tried to get Tech. I actually talked to Tech when we were streaming together, and I said, if we make it to the next stage of the competition, like, how much do I have to pay you for you to join Bobby Bucket's Dino Nuggets? But unfortunately, we never reached that point.
It's a legendary team name, by the way. It's a legendary team name. Let's just kind of kick the conversation off because Season 6 obviously is all right in the forefront of our minds. We've got global action starting up. And with that, every year we always look at a brand new map pool. And I kind of want to start with that. Maps that are out, new maps that are in. Hippo, I kind of want to go to you first on this one. How do we feel about, let's just start with the hardpoint map pool. How do we feel about Summit, Hacienda, Apocalypse, Arsenal, Slums?
Oh my, I think that there's a lot of, kind of old memories flooding back in. There's a lot of nostalgia in some of the previous seasons, such as, Slums coming back in. But we also see some mainstays that are, still sticking around, such as Summit and also Apocalypse from last season. So I think it's an incredibly interesting map pool, especially now that we have some iconic maps that are back in, while also having some maps that, have been notoriously known to be both strengths for certain Eastern teams and then strengths for Western teams in terms of performances across the board at major international events such as Masters and in the World Championship last year. So overall, I think it's a super exciting map pool. It seems to be very, very balanced in terms of just the size of the map pool as a whole. Pretty relatively stable across the board with a couple exceptions just here and there. So I think but I think there are the nuances of the map that every team is going to want to explore to see, what is going to be their strengths and weaknesses across the board. So it'll be super fun to see how the hardpoints pan out.
How about you guys? Bobby, Tech, hardpoint map pool, what are we feeling?
You go ahead, Tech.
I hate Summit, man. I will die on this hill, bro. I'm an AR playing Summit. Why? Why is this in the map pool? Look, Summit has some of the worst spawns, in my opinion, until they came out with this new map pool. Because the Arsenal spawns and the Slum spawns, they have no consistency whatsoever. So I enjoy the maps, but I'm looking forward to the spawns points kind of getting reworked. But yeah, I removed Summit.
I know from what I've heard, obviously I played a game, but Arsenal Hardpoint is not even ranked, and we never really scrimmed it whenever we were getting ready for SPS. So Arsenal was just like a permaban for us because from what we had heard, the spawns were definitely still an issue there. So hopefully we do get a little bit of a rework before the main portion of the season comes up. But I enjoyed the rest of them. I wish we would have gotten to play Slums more because I feel like that's a really underrated hardpoint map. I know the spawns can get wonky at some points, but for the most part, that's one that I really enjoy the flow of. So overall, I like it. I'm glad that they added Hacienda back in as well. That's one that I think was definitely missing for last season, and is just such a good. Actually, was Hacienda in the last season?
It was.
It was? Okay. Maybe we just didn't get to see it quite as much, but Hacienda is definitely one that I guess maybe because I don't ever play it in rank, going back to that was definitely a lot of fun to play.
Fair. Search and Destroy is the interesting one, I think, this year for the map pool because Tunisia, staple. Firing range, staple. Standoff, staple. Kurohana returns. Coastal gets added, and I know that Coastal has been a staple of the Eastern Hemisphere in a lot of their events, but now we're going to see it globally. Any thoughts about Coastal being added into the map pool for the first time in the Western space?
You can wall bang.
I think Coastal's really good. Oh, go ahead, take.
You can just wall bang everything on that map, bro. It's unreal.
Fair enough.
It's a good map. I like it.
I like it as a map. I think the flow of it's good. I think it is very balanced on both sides, and never really felt like it was super one-sided on offense or defense. So I really like the flow of it. I wish we would have seen maybe a couple more changes because I think it was only one map that really got changed for the Search and Destroy map pool, but I think Coastal was a good addition as far as what the possible options were.
Hippo?
I think with Coastal, it's definitely a good map. I think even though on the competitive side, we've seen a lot of Eastern teams get to play it, it has been in the ranked pool for quite a bit of time now for Search and Destroy. So I think that, players who have played S&D in ranked are going to be somewhat familiar to this. So I don't think we can necessarily count out the Western Hemisphere altogether in terms of familiarity. But at the very least, this does make it so that now the East has a map at the very least in the early season where they're going to have a distinct advantage over the West. But the overall design of the map, I agree, is fairly balanced. My personal take is that it's slightly leaning towards defense, but I think it is one of the more balanced maps overall, for sure.
I think, looking at the map pool, the one that I always kind of selfishly root for is Express to be involved. It's an absolute classic. I know that there is some cheese that comes with it, but I love the map. So a little interesting to not see it be a part of the year this year. And then Control, Raid, Takeoff, we know those. Crossfire, just out of nowhere. What do we feel about Crossfire? Bobby, you got a smirk on your face as wide as Texas.
We very intentionally did not play Crossfire either, just because I haven't heard good things about it. I think it suffers from a lot of the problems that we had with last year's Control map additions. And really, I think the biggest thing that needs to be addressed with the addition of Control maps is the tweaking of spawns before they make their way into the competitive map pool. I think part of the reason that 2 years ago it worked as well as it did is because we did actually get some changes to the spawn points for Standoff and for Raid. Not as much for Crossroads, but still less spawn trap heavy than the addition of Seaside and Arsenal. And from what I've seen, it is a lot of the same issue with Crossfire as well. But Crossfire just in general across the community is not what I would consider a beloved map, because it's kind of toxic for the majority of game modes. So that's one that I anticipate we probably won't see a whole lot in the competitive season.
Hippo, thoughts from a strategic standpoint?
Yeah, I think that Crossfire is a map that has been notorious. I've seen the East actually play this at some point with regards to Control specifically, if I recall correctly. I know that the Chinese teams played it before, and I know at the same time that in the early seasons of CDM, if I recall correctly, the very beginning. And, it was used in Search and Destroy, and there's a lot of nostalgia from back then. But as a Control map, it's just very awkward because of the fact that there are some very distinctly strong choke points that exist in the map that allow for some really, really disgusting spawn traps to happen. It's honestly worse than Seaside that's just my humble take when it comes to spawn trapping ability. If you're just able to get a control of certain places in the map, then you're kind of golden. You're just taking out 10 lives just independently from that. So
Tech, have you felt those things from the player perspective? Do you feel like there's just natural spots that just become almost impassable?
I'm gonna be honest. This map was in the map pool the 1 year I lost the regionals. So it's not looking good this year, But actually playing the map, I feel like this map for Control in particular is actually really good. The only thing that is bad, in my opinion, is obviously the spawns, because if someone, let's say if everyone was to push A, someone just leaks through the deli side, they get in your spawn, you're gonna spawn in front of them no matter what. There's no split spawns that'll put you inside of a building or something. for some sort of cover, like no matter what, I feel like Control needs a rework for spawns in particular. But the map itself, I feel like it's pretty well balanced. You could understand where everyone's going. You have to use utilities and maximize it to the most in order to get to where you want to go. It's not something where you just brain dead run through and like it's gonna work.
That's totally fair.
I think at the very least with this map, like there's going to be a lot of complaints about the map because of the fact that people are getting spawn trap all the time due to the design of the spawn itself. However, what I think is really good about this map, and the one upside that I personally like over Seaside and honestly over most of the maps in this pool, is that it really tests the fundamentals and basics on both on individual level in terms of a player, because there's so many spots that you have to constantly be checking, so many corners, so many places you can get sniped from, and so you have to be constantly looking for all of these, making sure that you use your utilities at the right points and at the right places, that you throw your smokes, etc., at the right spots. But then the second thing is, as a team, just having just the basic good macro of Control, just being able to make sure that you cover your lanes, you don't get too heavily focused on one side, because if you do, then you can allow for a leak to happen that allows for these really bad spawn traps to happen. So
now, this is kind of an off-the-wall topic of conversation to follow up on this, but I think it's intriguing, so why not just throw it out there, see what you guys have to say. Over the last handful of years, I think we all have come to grips with having only 3 maps in Control. There typically is always one that we love, there's always one that we typically hate, and it often kind of leads to conversations about the integrity of the game mode as a whole. Now, if we were to go back into the history of like competitive Call of Duty, Capture the Flag has always been kind of a massive staple of like old school CODs. How do you think a game mode like Capture the Flag would maybe do better, do worse, not maybe do anything different in terms of being a potential third competitive mode instead of Control? Bobby?
I think the chaotic nature of COD Mobile would make it tougher for Capture the Flag, just because you have 5v5, you have operators, you have so many different types of utility. I feel like that would be a difficult one to add in. And then on top of that, there's not necessarily like another game mode outside Capture the Flag that there's a good point of comparison. So from the perspective of the casual fan base, that it would take a lot more time for them to understand as compared to Control. It's basically like a combination of like Dom and TDM, that type of thing. From a competitive aspect, I don't think it would be unenjoyable to watch. I think it would just be a very big jump for both the players and the viewers to actually understand it well and understand it from a competitive standpoint.
Interesting. Follow-up thoughts? Agree, disagree, boys?
Techie, you have some thoughts first?
The more that I'm just like thinking about it, the more it's kind of just like, how would this work in a 5v5 environment? Because most of, CODs is 4v4. Just thinking of it, and also like how spawns have always been throughout like CODM so far. You're just gonna group spawn on whatever you're supposed to. So if like you have to spawn by the flag, how is an enemy team, supposed to get the flag if all 5 are spawning on it anyways? It's like, how would that work? How would that be adjusted? And you could also, like, since it is 5v5, you put someone in the back of the spawn, you never have to worry about the flag. It's just like leave the other 4 to kind of handle the rest. It's like I don't feel like the whole team would be naturally involved into it like how a Control is. So I mean, I'd be interested to see how it would work, but I don't think it would be as good for competitive as Control currently.
Yeah, I think off that sentiment, I want to say I'm playing the devil's advocate, but I'm also not. I think it really depends on the map pool to a certain extent.
The Snapdragon Pro Series is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming and DHL.
welcome back to the Snapdragon Pro Series, where it is day 4, week 4 of the challenge season here in North America for Call of Duty Mobile, which means it is also the last week of our challenge season, the final opportunity for our teams to secure the remaining spot in the challenge finals. It all comes down to this. It's going to be a really fun way to close everything out. My name is Glitter Explosion, and I am your host. And the vibes are good during our rehearsal, so I know the vibes are good with our casters as well. We're going to bring them in here to get us through all of the action for today. We've got Ton and Infinity ready to go for these last 2 matches. Can you believe we are already in the final week, Ton?
Oh, it's there's a coined phrase in England. It's more of a football related phrase. This is squeaky bum time is what we call this one. This is where it really does come down to the wire. You need to make sure it happens. For these teams, it is their final chance to get challenge finals, and that's been their objective throughout the entirety of this season. So really excited to see how it's going to go down.
Welcome back to us, Brody. We missed you last week, but now you're here to help close out the season. Are you ready to go?
I was going to say I did miss you guys, and then Ton made an expression. So I missed you, Laura.
I said it.
Ton whatsoever.
That's fair.
Absolutely, mate. As per usual. I really missed you guys. I'm really excited to get back into things. It does feel like it's been a super short season, as is always the case. But squeaky bum time. Squeaky bum time, is that the phrase? A phrase I've actually heard of, which is fun, considering I'm not generally speaking a football fan. Regardless, excited to get into it.
I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. I'm sure that it's going to apply to some of our players as well. If you guys are just joining us here for the first time somehow at the end of the season and you want to catch up on any of the action that might have happened already, just go ahead and check out all of our social media. You can get yourself caught up there, whether that's X, Insta, or Facebook, and then you'll know exactly what's going on, because we still have more Call of Duty Mobile action in store. We're not done just because it's the end of the challenge season. Or, of course, you can join our Discord at discord.gg/Snapdragon Pro Series, where you'll find our community of Call of Duty Mobile members. Hang out with us, join, chat things about the game, keep up to date with what we've got going here at SPS. Lots of stuff in store, okay? But we keep talking about how this is the final week. We've had a couple teams already qualify through, one more spot on the line here today, and we're going to start talking about these squads that have to battle it out. We get a chance to take a look back at some of the highlights for Nexus and Zitlalix here, Ton.
Yeah, I mean, both these two teams going up against each other very, very recently as well. So that's going to give us a good marker of where we think the game's going to go. But I think for both these squads, though, you know, it's a different game now. They'll be going into it very, very differently. I'm sure we're going to probably discuss it a little bit more when we do get a little bit deeper into the broadcast. But it is last chance saloon, really, for both these two squads. So if you were holding anything back, which I don't think you would have been, then maybe is the time to start bringing it out, because you do not have many more opportunities to make it your way to challenge finals. In fact, you have no more opportunities. You've got to get the job done now.
Yeah, and both these teams, Brody, had to face off against some of the squads that have already made their way through, so it's not going to be an easy challenge finals with whoever makes it all the way to the end regardless.
Yeah, I mean, these guys have had a fight so far in the tournament, right? I mean, for Nexus, you guys just saw right there their reverse sweep against Rebels. They really thought they might have been out already, so they're kind of already depleting a few of their 9 lives, as it were. Looking across the board, though, I mean, you've got on the other side this Zitlalix roster that have had a bit of a different path. They did 3-0 Nexus in their first match, and we'll talk about that kind of rematch that we're getting here in just a moment and talk a little bit more in depth about what that match looked like. But for Undream, for Zitlalix, they had to play Undream in that upper bracket final. I don't know if we can call that here for the GSL style groups, but that's what it effectively is. And they got mollywopped, more or less, right? So both of these teams coming into this next round of play, I think in very different positions, obviously. But the fact that we've seen both of them play before, I think, is going to give us an idea as to how this next series is going to go.
Yeah, it'll definitely boil down to if these teams were able to take anything away from that first time that they did face off, learn anything from it, and even learn something from the other matches that happened. As like you guys were mentioning, we had a chance to take a look at that exact bracket. We are now down here in the lower bracket, and that's what we're going to be focusing on here today. Okay, we've got the Zitlalix versus the Nexus side of things in Group A, but I said we've got 2 matches. This is just the first match. We still also have Group B, who are doing the exact same thing, and we will be getting into that match later on today. Same situation. We're looking at the lower bracket, and we've got 2 more teams fighting for that last spot on this side, whether that's NA Falloffs or it is ARP. So this is going to be a really good day with some recognizable squads here that we've been following, obviously, the entire challenge season, some with big expectations, and we'll see if they're really able to meet them at the end of it all. As you guys get a chance to see the schedule here as well, it will be the same as what you saw in those groups. We're starting off with Group A, so that'll be the Zitlalix versus Nexus match first, and then we will move on over to Group B for NA Falloffs and ARP. So we've talked about these teams a lot. Let's start talking about Zitlalix and what we have here for Nexus, because will this be a rematch where you get a little bit of payback or no? Like, is this going to play out the exact way we saw it the first time around here, 10?
I think for me, we're looking at the Nexus roster right now. For them, you're coming in here with a little less pressure, I want to say. I mean, look, you've got the pressure on the sense that it is that last opportunity to obviously get to those challenge finals, but at the same time, you lost this game convincingly last time. You have nothing to lose in this matchup now. It is about going into this and just giving it your role, and you may somewhat have the element of surprise. I wonder, for me, I think the way that Zitlalix could lose this is going in with that mindset that we 3-0'd them. We don't need to bring our A game. They have to be careful. Nexus have made it this far. They are a more than capable team. So if you are Zitlalix, it's about not being complacent. If you are the side of Nexus, it's about maybe jumping on any potential complacency that could be coming out from who are the stronger team in Zitlalix.
Brody, thoughts?
Yeah, I think, like, again, it's kind of a weird one, right? Because I think Tan's absolutely right, which is something I don't often say. Zitlalix could come into this series and be super duper confident, and overly so, because that first series between them and Nexus were kind of, it was a blowout, right? Especially in the search and destroy and the control. You guys are seeing the highlights of that fire and range search and destroy, in which I believe it was Tan that got like 8 kills through the first 4 rounds of the sniper rifle or something ridiculous like that. Nexus are just playing super slow and passive in situations where they probably definitely should not have been, and that raid control, I'm going to give Zitlalix a massive shout out for that raid control. If we get raid in this series again, I cannot wait to see more Zitlalix play, because Zitlalix, I think, have shown probably the best spawn control in any Call of Duty mobile match I've seen on raid control this entire season, the entirety of 2025 thus far. So excited to see them again. But really, I think, going back to that first series, the closest of the 3 maps that were played was 100% the hard point. It was relatively 50-50. Couple of key moments going Nexus's way, and we probably could have been looking down the barrel of game 4. Obviously, that would have been a hard point, so potential leaving game 5 on the cards. And I think that's how these teams need to be looking at this one going into this best of 5. I think Nexus in particular, you gotta win this hard point to kick off this series.
Well, we're going to get a chance right now to see exactly what they picked. Are you going to get your raid control here in our picks and bans, because they're done and it's in there? You've got a coastal in there as well for the S&D ton. Give me your thoughts.
I mean, I suppose you've changed up the hard point. If you are Nexus in that instance, you kind of, okay, you went into an Arsenal, was relatively close. We'll see how the hard points are going to play out. But I suppose if you get a 3-0'd on raid, why kind of go again is kind of where I'll be on that one. You can, I mean, it depends. We could have a look through how the vetoes have actually kind of went down, but at the same time, I think you've got to try and avoid that. Irrelevant of that, though, you've got a completely different search and destroy kind of category here. We've got Coastal and Tunisia, both play relatively similar, differently to fire and range. So potentially something for them there, especially on the defensive side of things. Can they get something going? But yeah, the raid control is a bit of a mismatch there, I would say again.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think this is one of those controllable factors in a veto process. We've been talking this one to death. You have control of the vetoes. Like, you could ban raid. And honestly, I take like a crossfire or a takeoff over raid 110%. Because the thing is as well, going back to that raid, and we'll have a more in-depth discussion about this before we get into that map number 3. That's not one of those situations like, well, you played badly. Like, no, Alex are just very clearly a well-seasoned raid control team. Like, they played that game extremely well. So playing it again, you got to have some serious confidence that you could beat them out.
Yeah, I think for me, just to add to that as well, when we see a raid control, you see a good raid control team. That's the hallmark of a good control team. Full stop. They know exactly what they're doing. It is very much fundamental control. Throw us to a crossfire or something in that instance. Make it something a little bit different. Maybe if you can get a spawn trap going, you get around. It's just throw something different at the wall and see if it sticks. It's kind of the scenario there.
Well, let's see what happens. See what the thought process was, because I'm being told our players are ready. So we're just going to be diving straight into our first match of the day, a challenge final spot on the line. Let's see which team takes it.
I've been yapping too much, Brody. We're nearly ready to get into the game here. I think it is a good conversation to have, though, right? I think, you know, you're coming into this, and if you are on Nexus, you got 3-0'd last time, try and throw something different. Okay, we have entirely different first two maps, but the control is something that is, well, controllable, isn't it? You know, you can try and get rid of it. I mean, for them, is it get rid of Raid? You don't know what the level is for their other control maps, but well, here we are heading into the game, and we are heading into a Hacienda hardpoint to kick things off between these two squads. And okay, for Nexus, it's going to be the long road back. If you're Alex, the pressure is on you. You've done it before. Can you do it again? Challenge final spot is very much on the line.
Yeah, and again, going back to the last hardpoint between these two teams, it was just a couple of moments in that game, a couple of rotations where maybe Nexus were caught lacking. They can change things here on Hacienda hardpoint, which is, I think, arguably the hardpoint map in all of Call of Duty Mobile that you need to rotate properly. It's the hardpoint map that sends you across the map the furthest distance you got to run for those rotations. So Nexus cannot mess that up here. And already, this has been a pretty good start, Tom.
Yeah, nice start for them. And as well, if you want to go on that route as well, it's map number 4 is Slums. So similar vein.
Yeah.
Right. It's about those fundamentals in hardpoint. And the best team very typically does win these maps. Nexus, as you mentioned, a relatively decent start. Alex now finding themselves on the more beneficial side of things when we do head over towards P2 in just a second, but plenty of time to be played for over towards P1. Nexus finding the kills to kick things off, though. I will give them confidence.
All right. Well, it is going to be Nexus in control of that rotation, so quite clearly they have been learning from that last series, but whether or not they can actually win those rotational battles is a different story entirely. And so far, so good. I love the setup here coming from Malzin and Excellence towards the backline, who, by the way, has been subbed in for this series, did not play, and that is a big, big sub from Nexus. Excellence has been a player that's been hanging about North American SPS for quite some time now, so him to be playing in this series, I think is going to be a big boon of success for this Nexus roster. They're also starting to win the gunfights as well, so quite clearly, Excellence has been a solid pickup.
Yep, 2 found there by Excellence. And now it's going to be a little bit of control. Gotta watch to the side, does. Already operators starting to come in. Malzin starting to find something with it as well. 3 in a row there with the War Machine. It's a good hold from Nexus so far, and it's through the smoke once again. Malzin will hold this down. Predator Missile comes through. Nexus holding this down well. A lot invested, but a lot of time gained.
And you can really fight this one from the back as well. If you're Nexus, smokes are one way in which teams are able to get up that driveway. But again, getting those gunfights, different story entirely. Nexus winning every single one at the moment. What a start this has been for Malzin, by the way. 15 to his name. Madsen, I believe is actually the name. Excuse me, I think that's a D, not a no. Madsen, 15 frags to their name off the start of this game. That's between 2 hard points, by the way. So tremendous start for that player. And now you're starting to see the effect that having hill control for Nexus is giving on this game. We look at the operators coming in towards this hard point, which we know is super mixy, and Nexus have 3 ready to go. Gotta imagine those are going to come out on this hill here, Tom.
It's really a really good start from Excellence as well. Starting to come out, and can you do anything with it? Well, Excellence has killed himself pretty much immediately. GBO is going to bring it out on the other side of things, though. And I think for Nexus, you know, you see that investment over towards P2. They make it count, but can Crow do the same here? The fists and then the War Machine. It's well combined from Crow. Finding 3. He's going to be the 4th as well. Incredible stuff from Alex. Crow's just killing absolutely everybody, and it will be a slight insight in for the side of Alex, and all of a sudden Nexus will fight back with their own kills. Operators being used very, very well on the side of Nexus for Alex there. Maybe not getting enough out of what we've seen from the equalizer, but so back and forth over towards P3 as we do often see. 15 seconds to play for here. Alex could do with this time. It's likely that they're going to get it.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, the big difference there is the smokes in play. We've seen a lot more of them in Call of Duty Mobile recently in competitive play, and the War Machine is just one of those operators where you can kind of chuck it down range into the smoke, and you're more likely than not to hit something. With the equalizers, you have to be ever so slightly more accurate, even though it's a super powerful operator. So Alex just making better use of the War Machine, even though at the end of the game, or end of the hard point, excuse me, it was not enough. So we do move towards the rotation, and Nexus are winning the majority of the gunfights here. Opportunity, as long as they predict spawns correctly, to start picking up these kills, and it's Blade with the equalizers. Perhaps he can more value this time around.
See if you can find it. The rest of the team doing the job for him, though. Couple of kills found on the front with the Purifier. Now all of a sudden, Alex really do have a hard fight. Malzin is once again got the War Machine out. Will eventually get taken down, but not before he finds 2. 22 kills to his name on this first rotation, and we still got 30 seconds left of it. Incredible work from Mausin and the Nexus squad, who, you know, you kind of said it. It feels like the kills are going their way, and you look at that kill feed and you get that confirmed. T-Football will find a couple more as well over towards point. Had a bit of a slow start, but he's had a nice hill over towards P4. It's a healthy lead for Nexus, and it's one that's growing as well.
Just phenomenal play from Nexus, and that's a great spawn control as well coming out from Nexus, right? You saw on that initial push from Alex after they'd lost the initial time, they were all spawning up from McLaren or Garage side, and Nexus had full awareness of that. Everyone was firing down range, everyone was looking in the correct direction, and as soon as they got that wave of gunfights, the spawn fit playing through, Alex spawning on garden side as Blade finds 4. By the way, make it 5, by the way, surely not number 6, will get shut down. But yeah, I mean, spawn control again, just recognizing exactly where Alex is spawning, making the comm, and everybody crucially on Nexus reacting to it. Right now, the team play from Nexus, this frankly was not there on Arsenal Hardpoint in week number 1.
I mean, this just looks so much better, doesn't it? I think I remember over towards that Arsenal, it was very much Alex in control, but back and forth. This one is not the same. Nexus looking incredible here on Hacienda. I mean, Mausin, it just cannot miss a bullet at this moment in time. Pistol is out. He is going on an absolute tear inside of P1, and there's 20 more seconds to play for. Nexus are looking to run up a 100-point lead before we get to the second rotation at P2. And Mausin still ain't dying inside the point. 31 kills to his name, has another Predator missile, has the War Machine up and running again. That will be the 3rd of the game for him. Nexus in full control.
I don't understand what's happening. This is, again, I said the Nexus for them, this was their way into the series. I didn't think it would go like this. 100-point deficit and continues to grow. As we move towards the next hard point, you've got to win this gunfight. If you're Alex, it's just not going to happen. Mausin, the investment with the War Machine, cleans out 3, and now they're throwing everything but the kitchen sink at Alex. You've got all of the operators, all of the streaks coming out as well. Nexus have everything in their favor, and Blade now starting to push out of the hard point. They are doing everything right here, Ton. Every single point of entry, Alex just cannot even get past the 25-yard line.
It's felt like the pressure has been there from the word go. You see it over towards P2. They're the first one with the operators. They bring them in. They do something with it. And then it has just snowballed out of control. Alex have not been able to keep up with that pace, and Atham will find 3 out of absolutely nothing as well. That is a full 60 from Nexus if they hold this final 10. Alex are going to have a go because, I mean, they kind of need to at this stage. Mercy will fall. It's 1 by 1. And it's a race over towards P3. Nexus have broke 200. Alex barely over 60.
Yeah, but you've already got to deal with players like Excellence in the backline, and Excellence's presence is going to flip those spawns out. So Nexus here going to follow up on more kills. That's a huge double for Excellence, because now that's going to open the floodgates towards Tinside. Nexus finding a way through.
I mean, it has just been a case of get your operator, bring it in. Get your operator, bring it in. And it's been working so well for Nexus so far. You'd imagine it is going to be the same kind of thing over towards P3 here. If you're Phaeton, you need to get something going. A player of his caliber only sitting at 13. You're looking at the kills across the board, and Alex have been battered across Hacienda, and that is still ongoing. 216 and rising for the side of Nexus. Alex yet to really find an answer, to find their thumbs here in the first series of the day, and the first map of the day. It's not the way you want to start things. Type 19 is out for Alex. Can they get something going? It's looking like the Nexus dominant still.
I don't understand. Alex are throwing themselves at the hard point here, but they are not finding any value. Look back towards the last series in Crow and GVO. The biggest players for Alex are just not up to the same kind of standards. I mean, yeah, granted, they're slaying to the same standards as the rest of the roster. Certainly not to the likes of Mausin and Blay right now. Almost hitting, or actually right there on 40 kills. We look towards the rotation. Hitmarker needs to find some value with these equalizers.
I mean, it's been a case of now you need the full 60, and you need Nexus to invest and find nothing with their operators as well. You're starting to find a couple of kills, but is it too little too late? You're going to break 100 points if you're still Alex, but look at the investment coming in from them. It is so much on the table. You still have the Sparrow out. Everything else is kind of being used. It's run out now for Alex. Nexus will have a clean push coming in just a few seconds, but now for Alex, you've got to worry about the operators that are going to be coming in from the side of Nexus very, very shortly. Mausin, he's going to have the War Machine, and that could spell trouble. There's 2 going to follow through immediately for him. Ethan will find another. Mausin again, just finding so much value with the War Machine every single time. Nexus inside of the point. They are 15 seconds away from the win.
And Malzahn right now proving the MVP for Nexus. They've just got to get one more wave of gunfights, and that might be it. If it's not Malzahn, it's Blay picking up the slack. Not going to be able to finish things here. Have to go to P1, but I think Nexus have shown they are proficient enough to find the time on this hill. They did it last time around. Zitlalix cannot let them touch this hard point even for 10 seconds.
I mean, Zitlalix at this stage, it's one of those things where you're coming into this series, you beat them 3-0 convincingly. First week of the challenge finals bracket stage. You've now just been absolutely battered in map number 1. Nexus have come into this series with a vengeance. It is a 250 to 125 scoreline. And that is as convincing as the start you possibly could have wanted if you are Nexus. We very much have a series on our hands here, Brody. We were discussing before and we were saying, okay, well, look, Zitlalix were convincing in the last one. We expect them to do the same. They've just been battered across Hacienda for about 6 minutes.
All right, look, I'll say this much, Ton. I said going into this series, if you want to find your way into this matchup, if you're Nexus, the way you got to do it is in the hard point. And, well, I didn't expect it to be like that. Just a total dominant performance from Nexus. And I kind of mentioned it, I think it was in the first set of rotations, towards the rock hard point, towards P4, where Nexus, like, a perfect spawn control, honestly. Like, again, if I'm going to give a lot of gas to Zitlalix for raid control, defense, kind of map control, I got to give Nexus the same kind of props here for their spawn control on this map mode combination, because they constantly knew exactly where to look. They were perfectly predicting the spawns of Zitlalix and, you know, working on it as a team. I think that's the crucial thing. I think, you know, so often you have COD Mobile players have a tendency to kind of throw themselves at the opposition, and I think Nexus just played so well as a team there. That being said, we did have some individual standouts, and I think it would go amiss if we were not to say that 50 kills from Malzahn is absolutely bloody mental, with almost 2 minutes inside the hill as well. He wasn't just kill whoring, he was doing that in the objective.
I mean, we've seen it from the get-go. He was the first one, as we so often do see with the War Machine, it is one of the first ones that tends to come out over towards P2. But for Malzahn, to go 50 kills is one thing, but to only die 20 times during the majority of a Hacienda hardpoint, that's a crazy stat line from him. Really well played from the side of Nexus. We'll put a button in that first map and head into the second one. If you're Zitlalix now, you know, the scenario is very, very different. You were heading into this one as strong favorites. You were heading into this one thinking, okay, let's just get the 3-0 again. We'll get ourselves up and running and into challenge finals. But now you're in a scenario where it's a completely different one to the previous time that you went up against each other. You now are at least going to have to play another hard point if you want to come back into this series. You could be then forcing to a map number 5 if you can't do your job in that hard point, and you still have to do your job over these next 2 maps as well. So yeah, it's a very, very different scenario than the one they were in just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and I'll say this much, right? We come into the search and destroy, and, you know, again, I've completely forgotten what map we're playing. My brain is... Hey, look at that. Production loves me. They know exactly what I want at all times. Thank you so much, production. Massive love. That being said, Coastal, pretty different map to the map that was played in the last series between these two teams. That was firing range, search and destroy, and that plays so significantly well around Feitan on the defense with that sniper rifle. I mentioned it in the pre-show. We talked about it. 8 kills within the first 4 rounds was super detrimental to any offensive push that we saw Nexus even slightly try to put together. It also didn't help that during those early offensive rounds, they were playing super passive. Like, there was very little aggression from them whatsoever, and they were giving away so much for free to Zitlalix. If they've clearly worked on their hardpoint play, I gotta imagine they're going to be looking at this search and destroy, those exact things, playing a little bit more aggressive in this one, and finding a way to shut that sniper rifle of Feitan down. You can do that, we could well be looking at a 2-0 start of this series here for Nexus.
Yeah, I suppose there is some control that they can get with the sniper on Coastal. You know, we think about that mid map, we think about that mid alleyway. That is very much about that sniper trying to control that if they can from the back and do something over towards the A side, maybe not towards the B. But then if your Nexus is that way, you concentrate your efforts. We will find that out very, very shortly as we're heading to Coastal in just a minute. But yeah, that is kind of turned our predictions on a bit of a, I mean, complete spiral, I would say, because okay, we said that maybe Nexus could nick the hardpoint, but I think it's the manner that they did it. I think that's what's kind of worried me for Zitlalix, and my prediction of Zitlalix winning this one comfortably is that they kind of just got slammed in map number 1, and there's like, you know, what do you say when you're heading into map number 2 here? You need to turn it around big time. We need to see a big performance from them, or they could be staring down the barrel of a 2-0 loss.
Yeah, it's do or die time, right? That's the way the GSL works. You lose this matchup, your tournament lives are done. Top 6 is not a bad placement. Of course, to get to SPS in itself is an achievement to get to the challenge season stage, but you want to get to challenge finals, and I think Nexus is certainly a team that feel like they are definitely capable of that at this point. You've got to get through the search and destroy, though, and you have to apply the learnings that you've got from that previous search and destroy. Where Feitan is going to be on the defense here, I think, is everything for Alex. Where do you put him? Because you put him in the middle of the map, making sure that Nexus don't get a little bit cheeky with the positions. Do you have him down at that A street, making sure nobody pushes through there? It really depends where Nexus go off the start of this game. And it is going to be that A push. Feitan is instead through the middle of the map. So utility over the top to start this round. Very little of it going to connect. So you don't really have any information to work with here from Nexus.
Football taking his time. Hit marker down the left-hand side, hoping to find a little more than that. Well, these two teams just posturing at this moment in time. It will be about the pick. Hit marker may well be just falling into a bit of a trap here. Gets himself round the corner. Does take a shot. Half health. Backs down. We'll have another look at this, but T-Football was not quite there to be able to turn it around yet. You'll see a player starting to put pressure on over there towards this side. He's be calling out to his teammates, but you've got to be careful here. If you're the side of Nexus, good child around the corner. Hitmarker finds nothing. We'll have to back down. A lot of map control for Nexus down his side.
And there's still a potential for a mid-map push coming out here for Nexus. They might choose to re-wrap and hit this A street with the rest of the squad, but it is going to be a push through the mid-cut. Is anybody from Alex watching this? I don't think anybody is.
All of a sudden, you fall into their trap. They set themselves up. The mid-cut comes through. You find something down from lower as well. And it's a really good start from the side of Nexus. This is just so much better than what we've seen a few weeks ago. Everything seems so well coordinated. Now, if you're Alex, you're in a 3 versus 5 in round number 1 when you're on the defensively sided map. Crow can find something onto Excellence. Kind of gets caught with his pants down, but Mausen will find another. 4 versus 2. Bomb is down. Just impossible scenario here for the side of Alex, or is it? Mercy can find one. 2 versus 3. Need to start moving. 20 seconds on the clock. Crow trying to find something. Nexus still holding tight, Brody.
You don't need to peek this. 15 seconds left. Make sure that you've got push Crow and Mercy out into this play. There's no reason to peek this. Fortunately enough, the trades are good. And fair play to Nexus. Making that calm to, all right, we're definitely in A here. We got to have some people coming from a different direction. A couple of players that were pushing through that mid-cut realized that going all the way through the actual middle of the map wasn't going to be a viable strategy. I will say, I am disappointed from Alex on the defense there. Nobody was opting that cut in towards A. And you have to have somebody keeping an eye on it. The reason that they lose that round is effectively that they don't have anybody keeping an eye on that power position. So that's going to give Nexus a lot of confidence here, and you already see that coming into this round.
You know, what if Alex make any changes here? They were trying to hold down that side, just maybe not hitting the shots if you hit marker to slow this push down, and you have put yourself in a different position. Crow can find one, but Mausen finds 2 to answer back. The kill started to run through, and Alex ready for the A push this time. Adjustments made, and Nexus are not able to find that opening pick and then just find that control there. Kind of give up the A street if you're Alex a little bit there, allow them to come into the site, and that's where you find the kills.
Yeah, and it is that adjustment from Alex, right? You could almost see they recognize it's an A here. Okay, we're going to put 4 players onto the site almost immediately to make sure that we have strength in numbers. Nexus, not really much you can do there. So fair play to Alex, making sure that they had eyes on every single point of entry and the numbers to reinforce it as well. And now we're seeing a much more standard approach here from Alex. This is that same defensive setup back in round number 1. In the same breath, Nexus, I think, are giving them a very wide berth here. A lot more respect than they had in previous round. Just trying to poke the bear somewhat, see if there's any holes in the defense. You can see Alex have definitely learned from that round 1 error, though. GVO is watching that mid-cut like a hawk.
Nexus looking to try and find a chink in the armor, and yet to find it. Down the A side in this round, at least, anyway. And marker is there. The wonder now for Nexus, if it doesn't work out this time, a change of tact in the next round is probably going to come on through, because, all right, you're 1 for 1 at the moment, at this moment in time. It's not too bad of a scenario here on Coaster whatsoever. Zenlux still being very, very patient, as are Nexus. Well, they're just trying to find something through the middle of the map. He can't. Maybe he will go on a route over towards the B side. He can find something over there. Do they pivot? No, they don't. There's the smokes now down, and here comes the move in front. Nexus trying to find a way through. Hitmarker will back up this time as he did in the previous round, and will reposition. Nexus looking to try and find the pick. The baits come out, and it's back and forth. Mercy finds two. It just explodes into life, and all of a sudden it's a 2 versus 1. T-Football left for Nexus, and in 1 versus 2.
And not really a lot of time to make this happen as well. They got to run straight into him. T-Football planting the bomb. They should have got the audio cue here. Will actually not stop this. So Football's going to be a chance here, but it's 1 versus 2. Slides away as well. Surely not. No. The reach out not good enough. And Zitlalix will be counting their lucky stars that they win that round, because once again, I feel like the defense is a little bit shaky. They were able to win the trades on the site, but they let a player through that mid-car. I think it was Hitmarker that had an eye on it, decided to turn around to try and help his team, and at the same time, a player from Nexus push. So that could have got scary real fast. But Zitlalix managed to brace correctly for the storm that was Nexus on the offense. They win that round. Now Nexus have to find a way to crack the code once again. It is going to be cracked here by an aggressive push in towards A. If they can hit this fast enough, they should catch these 2 players completely off guard.
It's going to be the same old story, though. Trying to find a pick. Hitmarker has somewhat repositioned here. But it's kind of a carbon copy of what we've seen in the last 3 rounds from the side of Nexus. Mousing up. He can't find the shot that would have killed him. It's a flash wound onto Phaeton, who has yet to get things going. But wasn't able to secure the kill, crucially, for the side of Zitlalix. They will continue to have 5 members left here, but he is going to find the kill on a GVO, looking for second shots over towards Phaeton. It's broken wide open again through the middle of the map. Hitmarker can get, well, a little bit of consolation prize. He will eventually get taken down. Crow will find another. Now a 2 versus 2 for T-Football. Left it along with the side of Atham. 2 versus 2 now.
And you're fine with the 2 versus 2, unless you don't help out your teammate there. Somehow, Football doesn't all win that gunfight. Now Atham. 1 versus 2. Still has the bomb within reach. And I think this is the big problem, though, is that you don't actually necessarily know where Mercy and Crow have gone. So retrieving said bomb is more of a difficult task than it might at first seem, especially considering it's down low. I don't think, though, that Mercy and Crow are aware of that bomb's positioning. So Atham, if he is quick with this, should be able to get this bomb down onto the site. But again, it's a question of not having that knowledge. Neither is aware of the other situation, and Atham is about to walk straight towards B. That is a horrible and really unfortunate decision here, Tan.
Yep, Zilak's ready and waiting for him. He just presumes he's playing the smart game there, but in the end, he runs straight into the trouble. Zillalix, especially after that first round and after that first map, have stabilized themselves here in this series, it feels. Those 3 rounds are being important. And they do have 2 more opportunities on this defensive side to, well, keep this up. And I was going to say, is it going to be a change of tack from Nexus? Because A, it worked in the first round, hasn't worked the last 3. Albeit some of them close. A push over towards B is probably going to be welcomed. And Zitlalix will be ready for it.
The defensive setups have been relatively standard here from Zitlalix. The only change has been presence towards the middle of the map. Adjustments made. Phaeton is the one now watching that mid to way cut. GVO is the one in the middle of the map. Potential for any flank being covered. As far as B presence is concerned, Crow is just keeping an eye, making those jumps over the window. Getting the exercise in. Nexus, because of that, can't really push forward. Choosing now to change tact a little bit. You've burned a minute or so off the clock now. It's the mid-map push, but I said GVO's watching this. That change might help him out.
The nade comes through. We'll give him an indication of exactly what's going on here. Oh, and Crow. He's thinking about a reflank and he's going to get punished for it. All of a sudden, he thinks the push is coming over towards A. They lose the mid-map control. B is wide open, but right now Nexus don't know that. They wouldn't have expected maybe just the 1 player over there, but 3 players coming over from the side of A now. They're about to find out that B is pretty much wide open, but the Hitmarker through the middle of the map can find one. He doesn't get out, though. Atham is there. Shots in. And all of a sudden, it's down to Phaeton, and a 1 versus 4 hasn't got anything going here in the search and destroy. This bomb will go down, and barring a miracle, it's a round for Nexus.
Oh boy, a jam-filled donut for Phaeton. Gotta get off it now. 1 versus 4. A ton of different angles you got to check here. At the very least, you got a Tundra. This thing can work wonders. But you are being watched from every different angle. You got the whole Five Guys security watching you right now, but you're going to find the first. Nicely done. Time not really on your side, though. You got to pull off something miraculous here, and you're being watched. Mausen's going to be the one to take him down. Phaeton barely a scratch onto the defense there of that site. And I got to say, Crow loses that round. Visit Alex. That push out, I think, maybe thinking, hey, I got the best of Nexus here. I might be able to catch a couple of players off guard and get some freebie kills. That goes horrendously because you leave the entire B bomber site totally open.
Yeah, when you're on your own, the thing is, it's from a presumed push, isn't it, over towards A. It's not from a known one. And then he tries to go for the flank, doesn't work out. I can imagine he will not be doing that this time around. B on lockdown, 3 players over towards that side. And it's a spread for Nexus again, who, once again, it's same tactic in the... I want to say that the method here in the Search and Destroy is slow and steady, try and find a pick, outweight Alex, and go from there. Around here for Nexus would be a massive win. Attacking side, finding 3 on Coastal is a very, very solid start to the Search and Destroy. Whereas if you Alex a 4-2 defensive hold is very nice as well.
Alex just have to play this round standardly. Don't do anything silly. just relax a little bit. All you got to do is just wait for Nexus to push you. And already they're making, early utility out from Nexus is enough of an indicator that this is a B kit. And it's an overcommitment from Alex. You've given the entirety of A up. And granted, GVO is going to go back and check, but he doesn't have the weaponry for this. Has just spotted the players out. You can see through the X-ray and on the mini-map that that's the case, but it's too late now. Reposition through the middle of the map here. Nexus, have a player ready to deal with it. That's Blay. Find some value. Nexus should be able to get this rock down.
Yeah, Blay through the middle of the map has just played an absolute blinder there. He sits, he waits for them to come back over from B. It's just overinvestment from Alex. You're very right. The only thing that they have on their side is, do they know where GVO is yet? Might have been able to find an angle, but doesn't as this bomb is down there. 30 seconds to go now. It's the hard way for Alex if they want to be in the lead heading over towards their attacking side, because right now there's still 5 members of Nexus left alive to the 3 of them looking for the retake. They've got to go, and they've got to go quickly. 19 seconds to go. The Fire 5 breaks out. Mausen 1. Ayathem another. Excellence 1 more. It's a clean round in the final attacking side for the side of Nexus. 3-3. A great attacking side. They now move over towards the defense and will be favorites for this Search and Destroy as well. This is looking good.
Oh, boy. We'll talk about Alex's defense once this game is done. If they do lose it, it will certainly be the thing that's lost it. Regardless, aggression from Alex. They know there's no other choice here at the start of this round. Nexus have the gunnies up. They're into the site, though. Alex, can they actually find the frags? It's now going down to a 2 versus 3 inside the site, and you're actually winning these fights, but Excellence comes through for 2. The smoke is going to provide the coverage to get away. Excellence finds all 3. Completely cleans those players out. Big kills there on the defense. It is a huge swing and a miss there for Alex.
I mean, I know they were all weak, but Excellence has done phenomenally to find 3. Just dips and dives inside of the smoke, and Alex have no answer. It's just felt like such a poor game from them so far. The game plan on the defensive side just didn't seem to be there. The attacking side, it's like, oh, okay, well, is that a tilted rush over towards B, potentially? Now all of a sudden there's a minute and a half remaining. Mausen will find the pick on the hit mark. He has just not had much fun down this A side, has he? 4 kills to his name. Whereas Nexus have really just run amok down this side for the most part. 4-3 up. Open lives here. And round number 8 as well. Things are looking on the up for Nexus.
Excellence getting aggressive here with the machine pistol. Information now. You take that all day long because now you've got help from Blay inside the site. You're forcing Nexus into an unfavorable position once again. They got to hit the site.
And they've all got around that corner without Blay even knowing anything about it. Mercy will find 1, and the timing just works out horribly for Nexus. Can they find the retake? Mausen's done wonderfully to find Phaeton, and Football can just find a way through, finds a kill. That's wonderfully worked. GBO can find Football, and now all of a sudden you're left on your own, and it's Mausen to find another. Nexus are just turning water in the wine here. This is phenomenal from them. They are well, they're not even struggling to a certain degree, but they had to go for a retake there. They got some bad timing. They still find the kills. Nexus in full control.
just starting an outcast right now in Search and Destroy. Alex can't find anything. And it's not like Alex aren't trying, right? They're throwing different looks at Nexus to try to make them uncomfortable, but it's just not happening. Here's a different look once again. Alex wasting no time. Aggression in towards sight. Didn't quite check the corner. Athem's there with the R9 and will cut you down. Bomb now down right in the line of sight of Athem. He will back away, but the damage is very much done here. Alex forced into unfavorable positions. Feitan finally pops off with a sniper rifle. Now you're in a 3 versus 3. You lose your ace in the hole through the middle of the map kit. Nexus still do need to retake the site though.
2 versus 2, but excellent spotted up just a little. Bomb will go down. And Feitan does wonderfully to find that kill inside of the site. Athem was going to be a huge issue, but still a 2 versus 2 to convert here. One that Alex just absolutely must hold down. And one for Nexus that will put you on that point. Play now looking to try and find a pick here. 2 players on his left-hand side, 20 seconds to go. He has a little bit of help from his teammate now, but he goes one by one. Kuro will find it. Do they know the other player is over towards that side? They do now, and it's just an uncoordinated retake from the side of Nexus, and Alex will punish them.
Yeah, that could have been better from the last couple of players from Nexus, if I'm honest. You know, you've already kind of given the way round away by lacking site control. Letting players in. Nathan tried his best to put a stop to Alex, but that 1 versus 1 and then a 1 versus 2 or whatever it was towards the end, just not that great from the last remaining players on Nexus. So they will chuckle around away to Alex. That's the first on the offense from the squad. And here's a strategy in the playbook. I don't know if you've heard of this one before, Ton. It's called leaving the bomb in the spawn. It's a unique strategy. It's worked in the past. I'm very sure it'll work out for Alex here.
I've never understood it. It has to be a mistake every single time because there is just no benefit.
But like, okay, the thing that makes me laugh is, at what point do you realize, nice damn mouse in. At what point do you realize, like in the comments, someone has been like, guys, we don't have bomb. We probably should do something about that.
Yeah, we just have a dedicated bomb carrier. That's what the big boys do.
Yeah.
Football now waiting for the push to come through. Mercy will be the first one through the door. First one to fall as well. Blaze, is he going to be able to pick up the pieces? The answer is yes. Feitan now left in a 1 versus 3. And just not in a favorable spot. The push comes through and he's like, guys, you all dead? He wasn't there to help. Well, he did well to find 2, and now all of a sudden, for somebody like Feitan, with a bit of timing like that, may well have a route through, but you can just see how tight Nexus are playing. Feitan's starting to find a way, but Blair is there to pick up the pieces. Nexus 6-4, 1 round away from going 2-0 up.
It almost feels like at the moment, Alex are trying to force these positions, right, where they haven't, they're putting the horse before the cart. As it were, the cart before the horse.
They're disjointed.
Yeah. Like, you're seeing them fully commit to pushes before they've actually drawn the blood to do it, right? You know, they're just kind of full sending in towards B. Even Feitan there, right? I mean, you're in a 1 versus 3. You have no site control. You can just waltz away with the bomb. Like, you don't need to commit to the B site there. You have no reason to. It's just, I think a lot of decisions are being made right now. A lot of lackluster decisions from Alex that are losing them the advantage in this search and destroy. Nexus already drawn first blood in this round. A few more kills and it will be their search and destroy. But we do see a trade coming through from Hitmarker here. An immediate bomb plant as well. You got to be really careful how you play this because you're effectively in a 2 versus 4 on this site.
But the thing is, Nexus don't know that. They'll be thinking there'll be at least, well, the majority of the team here from the side of Alex inside of this site, which is about to be the case, but they had an opportunity to push. They didn't take it. They didn't know they had it. Alex now going to have to hold this one down. Nexus just not sure what to do. I think they're waiting for a mistake to come through, and it's not going to happen. Alex need to find this round, and they are going to make sure of it. Just one gunfight over towards B, and if anything, Nexus just don't appropriate their resources in the right places. Play will find 1, Feitan will find 2. That'll be the round. Alex making something of this now. 1 round away from overtime. Or can Nexus close it out?
Yeah, good play from Alex there. I'll tell you what, that is a ballsy play. You were in effectively a 2 versus 4, as you said. Nexus didn't necessarily know that, and they were certainly playing like they didn't know that. But still, to do that, recognizing that you're not going to get any help, you're not going to get backup for the next like 20 seconds is a crazy, crazy play. You know what? It works out. That's all that Alex have been doing on these offensive pushes thus far. Here's another crazy play for you. Immediate transfer over towards A. Athem, you got to do something about it.
Oh, if he could have even got out, that would have been big. But Mausen, he can find 2, and he's holding it down all on his own. It's 3 from Mausen. And all of a sudden, the reinforcements are here. Crow's going to be able to find 1 in a second as well. 2 versus 2. Mausen has fallen, but Blake and Football are left alive, but this bomb is going to go down. But do they know the positioning of Play? Yes, they do. Football is here to try and help him out, but Play is going to start getting aggressive already. Doesn't have help from his teammate, but does he need it? GBO with the first to fall. Is Crow going to fall? And yes, he is. Nexus will take a 2-0 lead in this series, but it's all about Mausen again. 16 kills in the search and destroy, 3 of the best to finish it off. 7-5, 2-0. Nexus are running away with it.
We talk about Phaeton in that fire range search and destroy. The first time these guys faced off against each other. How about we talk about Mausen this time around? Was it 16 frags is what he finishes that game with. Incredible sniper presence, and just on the whole, significantly better than Phaeton. He never really felt like he'd get himself in any favorable positions. I don't think it necessarily helped on the defense that Phaeton was kind of looking at different positions through various different rounds. Like, you could tell that Alex were constantly shuffling the deck as far as what their defensive looks were looking like. They constantly had players in various different positions. But also, we had various unforced errors from Alex where they would just throw themselves at Nexus. I mean, they are lucky that the scoreline was as close as it was towards the end, owing to a couple of ballsy calls in the final few rounds. But I think certainly through those first few rounds on the defense, Alex will be looking back at the VOD and being like, what the hell were we doing? Because if it wasn't for a lack of great sniper position, it was certainly down to horrible, horrible map control from the team. Just could have done a lot better there. And again, Alex will be regretting it because now they're 2-0 down in this series. There's the formality of it all as well. Nexus Mausen, 16-7 at the close of that game. Ton is a wild performance. I know the Tundra is a great weapon, and don't get me wrong. Like, you gotta be special to get 16 kills.
Yeah, that is a very, very big performance. Look, for Alex, you've battled through what has been a long and arduous process to get to the stage, to get to that final moment where you have that final opportunity to get a challenge finals, and you've come up against the final boss in Mausen right now, because he is looking ridiculous at this stage. 50-20 in map number 1, 16 kills for the win here in the search and destroy. We're now heading into a raid control, and okay, for Alex, is this your route back into the series now? I mean, look, you looked solid on this last time out, but you also looked a lot better on maps 1 and 2 in that series than you have in this one. So I don't know, with the way that things have been going, it feels like a very, very long road back for Alex, I'll tell you that, Brody.
Yeah, again, so we'll talk a little bit about this raid control now. So we do get a reprise. It's the only reprise from the last best of 5 between these two teams, and it's probably the biggest head scratcher of them all. Now, as you said, maybe things are different here. Maybe we're going to this one and we've been like, all right, cool. Well, we clearly didn't expect the hard point in the search and destroy to go the way of Nexus and the way that they have. So maybe Nexus are going to completely overhaul things on raid control. But the key differentiating factor here is that it is worth saying that Alex were the reason that they won raid control so dominantly last time around. It wasn't just like it fell into their laps. They were just playing okay raid control. Like, no, they were actually legitimately playing really good spawn control. They constantly had a player on the defense in towards that bedroom side, making sure that the players on the offense had to go the long way around if they wanted to get a B capture through. And on the offense, it was perfect operator play when the moment was called upon for it. So honestly, Alex just need to do that again. Don't do anything stupid. Don't change anything. Don't throw yourselves at the opposition. Just play like you did last time around, and we should be seeing him out.
Enemy taking Bravo.
See if they can just like stunt this momentum that Nexus seem to have right now. The answer is no. B is whittling down very, very quickly. See, Football just finds 3 out of nothing. Mausen still has the sniper out, because why the hell not? And if you ask Alex, you're having a little look at this, but you're gonna look at it just going before your very eyes. GBO can find something, but B should be gone. You have a little bit of presence over towards Laundry. You push through, kind of like the player coming out from Nexus. That one will be dealt with very, very quickly. B has gone in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. You can already see Alex hit. Putting themselves in those positions to make sure that Nexus is spawning out across the map as far as humanly possible. The only player to potentially stop that would have been excellent, and they're going to get shut down here. So this is something you see very often from teams. You give up B, you know that it's not really a point that you can salvage. Instead, you look to defend A for the entirety of the 2 minutes. And so far, so good. Alex have got players in all the right positions here. Nexus will have a long way to go before moving forward. And hit marker, why? You don't need to do that. You don't need to get so aggressive now, because now Nexus are going to get closer spawns towards that bedroom side.
They're choosing not to take them, though. They're not going down bedroom. They're pushing through B side. Excellence will find a pick. Surely GVO finds at least one here. Yeah, he finds two important kills. They were absolutely needed. Feels like Nexus are just slowly picking their way up the map, but Alex defending well. 16 versus 16 now. The life advantage slightly in their favor. Atham's done well there, though. New push will be coming down that side, and still a lot of pressure from Nexus throughout the middle of the map. Haven't been able to quite find it in the right spots. This gunfight, though, GVO merely a slither of health away from dropping. Hitmarker will find one, but it's back and forth at the moment as these two teams just jostle for this map control.
And now Nexus is starting to push from the bedroom side. Alex have done nothing to plug that hole. I just don't understand this, Tunt. This is a totally different Alex, and I know, again, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here, but this is just not the same defensive play that we saw before where they were playing so damn perfectly. This time around, they seem more preoccupied with the middle of the map here. Gunfight's already starting to go in your favor. Blay and Malzin will combine for 3. Big gunfights again, starting to poke the bear somewhat, but with 29 seconds on the clock here, Tunt, you gotta go. You gotta start winning some of these gunfights towards Kitchen.
Blay very, very close towards those equalizers, which could be the equalizer there, but GVO is going to pull it out. He as well find 3. Drops down with a Sparrow, though, to his own arrow. Crow will find T-Football, and this is where the operators start to come in. 5 versus 5, but 7 seconds to go. If you've got to get a push onto this now, if you're Nexus, you've got to get a touch. Can you find something through Money Window? You cannot, and it looks like Alex would just about hold on. Atham inside the point, though, can find something. T-Football left in a 1 versus 3, not on the points. Alex would just about hold it, but not a terrible attack from the side of Nexus. It felt like they maybe just were looking to dot too many I's and cross too many T's through the middle of the map. They maybe needed to try and take an opportunity that wasn't necessarily the easiest one to take through the middle of the map there, Brody.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to go through the middle of the map, fine. Just do it. You know, don't just sit there and wait for Alex to fall in your lap, because that's not going to happen. So I think Nexus there, had made a call and it just wasn't followed through whatsoever. So could have been better on the offense there for Nexus. That is definitely a winnable round for you. But now, of course, we're going to go back to the defense, win on control. No surprise there. That is the default situation. Nexus actually starting pretty strong here on the defense. This is something, generally speaking, you don't see. A bit of resistance over by B. And, of course, this investment in towards holding on towards B is going to make things more difficult as far as an A defense is concerned. But you have mid-map presence from Aphon. Alex haven't recognized the opportunity they've had. They've not gone fast enough, and it's enabled Nexus to stabilize on the defensive setup. Alex here have not pushed forward whatsoever, and you're losing all of the gunfights.
Yeah, they're ready for the aggression to come through, though, at least. But now you're going to start to get forced into your spawn, and Nexus smell blood in the water. And it can come down to opening pushes on control, can't it? And we are getting to see a really good example of that. Excellent's actually going to pull in the Sparrow here, thinking he'll probably get it again pretty quickly with the way that he has been playing. Phenomenal work from the side of Nexus. It's been such a flawless defense so far. Messi needs to find something, can find nothing but a grey screen. And all of a sudden, you need to route through somehow. Hitmarker finding that kill over towards B, and might just be it. He can get a touch with 3 seconds to go. Does Alex need to be flawless throughout this hold?
Got operators. Honestly, 3 seconds left on the clock here. Alex,
need them.
Looking to move forward. I don't necessarily think it's maybe the time at this point. You're in an 8 versus 17. You just got to try and hold out towards this round. It's not going to happen. So Nexus tie things up there. And yeah, I think that's the right decision in the end, right? You might have 4 operators on the sideboard. Just don't use them. Use them at the start of this round. That would be something necessarily novel. Making sure you hold your defense to begin these rounds. Winning the opening wave of gunfights, as Nexus just showed, can be detrimental to the offensive side. Crow's going to open things up with the War Machine. Fatal, I think, just got a clap through the middle of the map.
I'm not too sure, but either way, it's going to help the team hold things down here to kick off their defense. So Alex not bringing them out straight off the rip was quite surprising as far as the operators go. GVO actually brings out the Sparrow, finds very, very little with it. And now it's just about that's somewhat economy game, but T-Football is having such a good game here. He's found a couple more through the middle of the map, and Nexus have smelt that blood. They've seen that gap, and they've slotted themselves right into it. 59 seconds remaining. The time has been stopped. You're on air. You're finding a lot of value. Now for the side of Alex, can you find a way back through? Well, the answer is yes. You find a few kills in a very, very quick succession, and that A push is all but shut down.
Yeah, you're hunting for the last player as well. Really well played. from Alex on the defense, of course, but the positive to hitting A in that fashion and getting that tick of progression means that now Nexus will get those driveway spawns towards B. You've already dealt with the one player that was in that vicinity, so now you can get that B capture through. And I don't anticipate that Alex are going to do much in the way of defense here. I don't think they're going to throw themselves at this point. No real need to overinvest. Instead, the call has been made here for Alex to get a spawn trap going. But as we always say, with these spawn traps done, the thing you need to do before you set up a spawn trap is actually get players into it. You are pulling off a big risk here that you don't get anything going. You are really putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah, it's all very well setting it up, but as you said, for it to be useful, people have to be respawning. And at this moment in time, you're not finding a kill if you're Alex. Mercy finds that on Excellence as well. And they know they're in their spawn at this stage. Yeah, okay, one player starting to come in now. Excellence has been taken down again, and that's what you're going to try and work with. But right now, Nexus are coming back for you. Hitmarker will be there, though. Oh, and have you ran into the belly of the beast, maybe? He potentially did. Equalizers brought out, didn't find a great deal, but Alex starting to find some kills, and now Nexus have been pinned back. They still have a full minute to try and find themselves a way out of their spawn.
A decision made there from Nexus, I think, to deal with the spawn trap before it becomes an issue later on in the round. Of course, they don't choose, therefore, to go for a potential push round towards A, knowing that you have effectively a 5 versus 3 on said push, but now you're in trouble because the kills are starting to come here from Alex. 10 versus 6 scenario with 42 seconds on the clock. Nexus now down to the final set of lives here. They're in towards the spawn. The only player pushed out is Blade through the middle of the map, who could cause some problems, but Alex have done a really good job of pushing players all the way through here. Really applying on the pressure, but you have started to lose some gunfights here. Nexus with the death machine could be everything.
Blade finds 2. Blade will find another. 4 versus 5. They've picked their way out, but the problem is now, oh, he's going to invest. The equalizer is out, and yeah, let's see what we can do. I'm not too sure about this one. Oh yeah, GVO and Phaeton are ready and waiting to see football will find something. Crowsnell is going to be forced to overinvest himself, to be honest. War Machine comes out and might just solidify the round. 2 versus 3. Mausen was able to find one before he gets taken down. T-Football left in the 1 versus 2. Inside of the point. Hunter Killer is out. Oh, if he finds that one, he's got such an opportunity. Both two teams pressing the panic button there, but Alex getting away with it.
And that's fine. That round is fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Nexus,
yeah.
Right. I mean, you're happy with that, I think, ultimately, because you do get that one extra tick on towards A that nobody's managed to achieve so far. And that is down to that initial push, putting a lot of pressure in towards A. Alex now know that the pressure is on to make sure they do something on the offense here. And it is going to be an A push off the rip. An investment of the War Machine from Mausen in towards B, but nobody is knocking at the door. Instead, the pressure is being applied over by A, and Excellence is the player that has to do something about it.
Oh, they've done well, though. They've done well. And now, of course, if you are the side of Alex, you've got to be careful. Excellence does not do well there with his power replacement. Look to hit the fadeaway, doesn't find it. Hitmarker can actually just keep things going over towards the safe side, keep that pressure on. Nexus did well, though, to just rebuff that first initial push, but all of a sudden, Alex got their eyes over towards this B side. Utility being invested here. If you're playing Co, you need to find a couple of kills if you want to keep a hold of B. He's the only one who can find something. Mercy's able to answer back with a kill in the Mausen as well, who hasn't necessarily been able to light things up as he had been over the last 2 maps, but his teammates are doing just a well enough job at this stage. Nexus on the defensive side here to send us to around number 5. Looking to try and hold Alex, putting a lot of pressure over towards A again, though. Everybody over towards this side. Nexus trying to hold it down.
Alex might be at this point. I don't think Nexus is doing anything about this one. Football is keeping an eye out, but he's doing this in such a cautious way that, yeah, A is gone. So, Alex now, you've got the hard part out of the way. And the reaction from Nexus here is not to cover your backs, but again, to go straight for a potential spawn trap position. You have to get these players kills, though. You have to take them down. Blade is about to get caught totally unaware towards the back lines. Alex can now get the spawn trap going on the other side. A potential move for the point now. If you're A-Form and Excellence, like, you gotta go. You cannot be relying on a potential spawn trap.
Yeah, you're going to probably have to come back and help your teammates out. They're just constantly concentrating on this spawn trap. Both these two teams. Mausen will get a little bit of respite for his team, though. He's still going to have to deal with Phaeton in that spot, and B is all but open. Excellence is going to have to come back and help his team here. Oh, is he? Aetham and T-Football have done well, but there's one player left over towards this B side. Okay, they're not going to be spawning on your left, so they're spawning on your right. But Mercy's still trying to keep this pressure on with the death machine. Can't find much more else. Excellent. He can find kills in the spawn, but now he is being wiped out. Now we kind of have a level playing field across the map. 10 versus 10. Is it Lalix? Can they find something over towards B? Nexus have to hold this down if they want to see round 5.
And this entire play from me doesn't just come around from the kills around the front, but around the back line. Hitmarker is about to put a worldie of a flank through here, Ton.
Can he find it? Do they know he's here? Oh, he's got the equalizers out as well. Things about to crumble. Hitmarker, he can only find one. Mousen is going to shut him down. Now Nexus trying to hold on for dear life. GVO can find something. The defensive line is still there, but is it starting to creak? Mousen play, starting to find the kills, and it may well just be a Nexus round. But by holding down over towards B, Mousen for another, can't find it. Hitmarker gets the better run this time. Zillarix trying to find a push. Crow's going to invest the War Machine. Finds very little. T-Football will shut him down. 10 seconds to go. You get the touch. The shots will go through from GVO. They're trying to finish it here. 4 versus 3. You're still inside the point. Exod's going to have to invest his Sparrow. Can find one. Can he find a second? He can. It will force around number 5. And Nexus just about hold on by the skin of their teeth.
I was really concerned there for a second. I thought they were going to get that final tick away, but no, they do not. And what a round. What a whirlwind of a round for both the squads, right? You see the start of that round coming out for Zitlalix. They get that A capture through, and you think, yeah, this is definitely going to be a guaranteed defense for round number 5. But no, in the end, not able to get a single tick of progression done over by B. So now Zitlalix have to do something that neither team have managed to pull off so far in this game. It needs to be an offensive win. They've looked a lot better, I will say, of the two, especially in that last round.
Yeah.
Now they're looking for a split push, and neither has really worked out at the start of this one.
One tick over towards B is all you have to write home about. Nexus don't want to overcommit to this, as you can see. They're still a little bit worried about something over towards A. GVO will actually find a way through. And now for the players over towards bedroom. Do you hold this down and just hope to keep the reinforcements away? That seems to be the objective. One player over towards A, but not a lot of mid-map control. The map is kind of split in a weird kind of way right now. They will get rid of GVO, though, and that's kind of what they needed to do. It's in a strange spot, but if T-Football now has the War Machine out, he can't find something with the Death Machine. And now Blaze going to invest the equalizers here. This is looking great for Nexus.
Enemy taking...
Potential spawn trap. You've got the players in the position, but you do need to win the gunfights once again.
He is gone.
Yeah, and this is the thing. You've now done exactly what Zitlalix did in that last round, or the round before that, excuse me, where Zitlalix are just now totally free to move forward. Put a lot in towards potential spawn trap. GVO is actually going to come back here in this situation. Going to go for the challenge. It's a nice kill through. Big gun there, but now Zitlalix have actually done what they need to do. They've made the choice to push round for potential flanking plays. So those players off the spawn here for Nexus have to deal with them. They cannot let those players through.
That was a big kill from Atham. Bit of kitchen control. Now Nexus scrambling, it feels like. And this is going to come down to operators. Nobody has anything in play yet. The next ones up are going to be massive, but this wave of kills from Nexus may well just put a nail in the coffin. Zitlalix fought so hard for that map control, but here comes the operator we spoke of, and Atham ain't missing. There's 2. It's a 17 versus 7. Zitlalix have to do the impossible.
Yeah, the 10 life differential between these two teams is, I think, just a little bit too much to bet. This would be a momentous thing to pull off if Zitlalix could do it. And I think it might just be a little bit too much to ask. Nexus now starting to push all the way through here. Starting to really squeeze the screws in. Trade's not good enough here. Nexus looking to close things out. They got 3-0'd last time around. They have come back for vengeance, and it is a dish best served cold. 3 players left here, Ton, and it feels like an inevitability at this point.
2 versus 14 ain't gonna happen. Mousen, the player of this series, will put the button in this one. And it is a 3-0 win for Nexus. Look, we were coming into this one, Brody. We were having a chat off air, and we said this one's got 3-0 written all over it. We didn't think it would be in this side of Nexus whatsoever. I've thrown us under the bus a little bit there, but I am happy to, because of the performance from Nexus, has just shut us the hell up. That was incredible from Nexus. The turnaround, in comparison to what we've seen a few weeks ago, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, everybody pulled their weight. Everybody did what they had to do. Yeah, okay, Mousen was really, you know, the hero of map number 2 especially. Map number 1, he did what he had to do. He found those kills. He did wonderfully. But the rest of the team found their way. In map number 3, he wasn't the player we've seen in the first 2 maps. That would have been something special. But everybody else putting the work in. A big shout out to Atham for map number 3, 34 and 24. It's a big game from him. That is a wonderful, wonderful win for Nexus and a wonderful position to be in when you send yourselves to the challenge finals with it.
It turns out you know what you need to do to 3-0 it, Alex. You just got to drop Dicey for excellence, apparently. That's the big play call. Just bench somebody, get somebody else in, make a few changes in the gameplay, I guess, and you're all gravy. Yeah, just totally different squad from Nexus there, totally different gameplay, and Zitla Alex just did not play the same across the entirety of the series.
I mean, dang. You guys were talking about how the raid control was going to be a bad choice.
Yeah.
You know.
We're useless, honestly.
It was close, but still, like, that performance out of Nexus, and we talked about this a little bit heading into this match, were either of these teams, specifically, obviously Nexus, because like you're saying, Brody, they were previously 3-0'd, now they are the 3-0'ers, but were they putting in the research from the last time they saw this team into now? Were they going to really figure out what they needed to do, what they needed to change, what maps were going to work in their favor? And I feel like they did everything they needed to do. They played so well in the last final moments, Tom, when it had to get done. If they wanted to continue on in the competition, they made it work.
I think, was there a sort of an element of complacency from Zillalix in that one? Potentially.
Yeah.
I really actually, I feel like it was kind of all on the first map. The way that it kind of got blown out immediately, you seen them playing a little bit passively on the search and destroy, making mistakes. Where they locked in, was it a case of just being tilted off that first map? A map like that in a series where you get blown out of the water against a team you 3-0'd a few weeks ago can really start to throw some cogs into a machine that was working well and a position that they don't want to be in. It can play with you. It really, really can. I mean, we've all been in situations in games where you're like, okay, well, we've dusted these people before. I've played against this person before. I've done really, really well. It's confident. But then all of a sudden you start to lose something. You lose that confidence. You lose your flow. And all of a sudden the series can just fall apart like that. It is not necessarily out of the realm of possibility. And we got to see that.
Yeah, and I will say as well, like, it isn't, I would say, just Zitla Alex playing badly. Like, they had a couple of moments there where they did mess up. But, like, Lauren, you're absolutely right. Like, Nexus very clearly put in the effort. Everything they need to do in this series, they did absolutely that. You talk about hardpoint. We said that we need to see them playing better on rotations, playing holds better. They did exactly that. Search and destroy. Shut down Phaeton's Tundra. Did exactly that. Play more aggressive. Did exactly that. Control. Don't let Zitla Alex get the map control they did before. Did exactly that. Like, everything we wanted to see from Nexus in this series, they did it.
Literally nothing else to say. That was it. Period. Perfect job for Nexus. They came back as the underdogs and showed everybody why you never know what to expect here in the SPS. They are now the third team through to the challenge finals, which means there's only one spot left for that position, which means it's time for match 2. Before we get into match 2, though, we're going to send it to a short break. Let our teams get ready to decide who's going to be that final squad moving on in the competition. So everybody at home, don't go anywhere. You're watching the Snapdragon Pro Series.
Shift's back with you in another iteration of Sound of a Gun featuring Tectonic. My guy, we're going to give you 5 different sounds, all of them off the default weapon pack, and you have to do your best to try to place what gun goes with the sounds you hear. You can get repeats if you need to hear them again. Are you ready?
Okay. No, but
Okay,
let's do it.
Let's get this thing going. Here's sound number 1.
Okay, so it's not like one of your like crazy SMGs.
No.
It could be the USS-9 though, because it does have like that little do 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 do. You know, like similar to like DRH. It's not like something like the Type though. It's not fast.
I know for a fact you've used this weapon because everyone's used this weapon. Everyone's used it.
Only thing I can think of is like something like a no. The Growl?
Is that your final answer?
Final answer. Probably
It is
wrong.
not the Growl. It is the first weapon you get when you create an account. It's the M4.
Oh, hell no. I'm not guessing that.
Okay. Weapon number 2. Here it is.
KRM?
Not the KRM. One more
Not
guess?
the KRM. Oh. What is it? What's the other shotgun? Not the Carrot. What is it? Like the Buy 16 or something like that? I don't know.
Final answer?
Final answer.
It is the BY-15.
Okay. BY-15. Okay.
Yeah. You were right there. Yeah, you said 60. You're right there. We give you credit for that.
Close enough.
That's a great guess. Okay, this one I think is the gimme one. This is like the free space on the bingo card. Here is sound number 3. Oh no.
I don't know what this is. But I'm gonna take a wild guess. I think it's the spear.
Yeah.
I think it's the spear.
Final answer?
Final answer.
It is the axe. Not the spear.
That is not a gimme. I've never used the axe. I've never used the axe.
I thought it was. Oh man, pain and suffering.
That is pain and
let's get you
suffering.
back on track.
Okay.
Here is sound number 4.
I'm telling you, I'm horrible at this. Oh, I'm gonna say DRH.
DRH is not correct. It's the Krig 6. Krig 6.
That's probably that's a horrible matchup.
All right, 5th and final one. Here it is.
It's crazy. I've been playing this game for 6 years, but sounds, it's like not there. Okay.
That is incorrect. It's the RUS 79U.
Of course it is. God dang. God dang. Oh, I remember at the start of this, you was like, oh, don't worry. Everyone's gotten like 2. Okay. So I'm kind of at the bottom of that bunch.
Yeah, the leaderboard's not looking very great for you, Tech, but
No, not really.
that
really.
sound
It's
begun with Tectonic. Thank you for joining me, my friend.
got me thinking things I didn't mean to. You got me wanting things I never wanted. Is this the way you always get what you want? Alright, alright. You got me right inside of my head. You got me so, so close on the tip of your tongue.
The Snapdragon Pro Series is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming and DHL.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Snapdragon Pro Series, where we are preparing to get into our second, and believe it or not, final match of not only the day, but of the entire challenge season for North America here in Call of Duty Mobile. I can't believe I'm saying that. I don't know how we got here, but it's time. It's time to start talking about NA Fall-Offs versus ARP, the last two teams fighting for the last spot in finals. This is going to be a fun one, Brody.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think, going to be a really interesting one. When I first looked at this group, I was like, yeah, these two teams are definitely the teams that are going to qualify out of this group. I got no doubt in my mind. Not even going to bother to write any notes. I'm just chucking the notepad out the window because I'm so confident. And then last week happened, and all of a sudden my confidence also went out the window. NA Fall-Offs, I mean, they are really living up to their name because last week, oh boy, it was not great. There was a lot of mistakes in the gameplay, and I'm sure they know that as well, right? I'm sure they'll be coming off that series and thinking, yeah, we probably kind of could have done a little bit better. ARP, also in a relatively similar spot, right? I expect a little bit more out of their first couple of matches this season. I wanted to see more out of them. You look at the kind of the names on the lineup, and you've got the likes of Chagaboo, Coldest, Awaken, all of which you guys will have heard of before. Like, we should be seeing more out of these two teams. So for them both to be in the lower bracket here, only one of them's making it through, sad boy hours.
That is true. That is true. It is a little bit upsetting because we've seen some really fun series on both sides for these teams. So I think it's going to be a close one to end the day. We'll take a look at the picks and bans as well and see what we've got coming through here, Ton. But this is going to be an exciting final match.
Yeah, no, it really should be. I think just purely by proxy. I mean, both these two teams have went up against on Mythic.
That way.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Oh.
I was talking.
Still can't hear
Can't hear me. Can't hear me. I don't know why you
saying
can't
brilliant information.
Well, the stream could hear me. Apparently, my thing that I was talking to you guys through just completely changed when I didn't press anything. Well, what I was saying, though, and the stream would have heard me say this, is that both these two teams obviously have kind of both went up against Undream, and we can kind of go by proxy on that one, that both these games were close up against on Mythic, I should say, not Undream. And they were both very, very close games up against them, but losing 3-0. So both of them typically should be a relatively close game. As far as the maps go, Crossfire and Slums being in there, I'm all for. Let's Standoff to finish things off as well. This could feasibly go to a map number 5. That's kind of where I'm at. And I think a lot of people, we were talking about this off air, and I was like, what do we feel here? Is it any fall-offs? But at the same time, both these two teams pushed on Mythic, who were the ones able to get through pretty quickly. We were not 100% sure, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and looking at this map set, I think we do have a couple of repeats, right? We saw both of these teams take on Tunisia Search and Destroy, so we have that to go off, and again, we'll talk about that as we get into that later on in the series. The Crossfire is probably the most interesting one, because NA Fall-Offs, we were discussing this, right? And maybe chat can help us out a little bit here. Is losing a 14 versus 8 is that a choke? Now I'm going to go ahead and say, listen, I think losing a 14
minor choke.
It's a pretty big choke. Okay, I'm just saying. So you guys agree to disagree with me, but I think it's a pretty big choke.
I feel like you're missing some context where you were like, massive choke, and I was like, well,
yeah, it was a massive choke. Okay,
I wouldn't go as far as saying it's a massive choke. It's definitely a little bit of a fumble, but I wouldn't say it's not a written in stone a 14 versus 8, right? So
no, it's not. I guess not. But anyway, it was a Crossfire control. They probably could have done a little bit better in it, but then they proceeded to get slammed in rounds 2 and 3 with massive traps from Mythic. So that's interesting. I'd like to see something better from NA.
All right. Well, our teams are ready to go, so we're going to have to see if they're able to fix the mistakes they made last time around. Which team's going to come out on top? Chat, I haven't even asked you your opinion for the day, so give me your thoughts as well as we get into match number 2.
Well, hopefully you can hear me, Brody, as we get into this one. Much to your dismay, I would imagine. But at the same time, look, I think this one, on paper, we definitely would be leaning towards NA Fall-Offs. I think, you look at these rosters, you would sort of be saying to yourself, yeah, okay, look at the guys they've got there. But things haven't quite knitted together. That being said, I think, if we look at the series last week up against on Mythic, losing a hard point by 4 seconds, there was nothing in it. Such a close game. You've lost a 10-8 Search and Destroy in Tunisia, and you've definitely thrown some rounds away there as well. At least one that we can remember. So for them, they are minuscule moments away from, well, at least being 2-1 down up against, or 2-1 up against on Mythic, right? They're in a position where they could be advancing through a lot easier. For ARP, though, I mean, it's kind of similar story when they did go up against on Mythic. A 40-point loss in the hard point, a 2-round Search and Destroy loss, a 1-round control loss. Both these two teams pushed very, very close against the team who went through pretty quickly, but couldn't quite get the job done. So who's going to be able to get it over the line this time?
And Summit was something we saw neither of these two teams play. It is a map that's been in the rotation for a very long time. So both teams, given the caliber of players and the experience of the players across the board here, should know how to play it. But how about this one? If we always look at the compositions of these teams and the various facts that we've got subs on the bench here for both of these two rosters, we are seeing changes for ARP and NA Falloffs from their last matchup. ARP, crucially, Chagabu not playing in this matchup, and we do love to see Chagabu play. She was a phenomenal player at 2024 champs. However, it is worth saying that she was the lowest performing player on ARP last week. So I think that's probably a good decision for ARP. On the other side, it's good to see Envy back on the lineup, NA Falloffs, and that will be more crucial coming into the Search and Destroy, because it's going to be nice to have a second sniper on the lineup. But for Hardpoint, Envy is still going to be a big boost in firepower over Bound.
Let's see how things are going to play out, though, because ARP have had a very nice start. Some good time over towards P1. Kills starting to be found here over towards P2. Watching Raballo, though, starting to wake up to this game. SMG is just going to be so crucial on this one. As we head over towards P2. And they Falloffs are the first ones, yeah, finding some crucial kills on the rotation as well. 57 seconds to play for. Still with the spawns for P3, which is the most important thing. They've lost a couple of kills over towards the hill, though. And all of a sudden, ARP can start to get some time.
This is a good opportunity for ARP to get some time, as you said. On the right side of the map for that inevitable rotation towards P2, or P3, excuse me, as well. But now you're starting to deal with the likes of NA Falloffs just beaming you from downrange. As I say, it's going to be ARP. I think it was combining for 4 between Cryzo and Static. So they are right back in towards this time. This is an early War Machine from Raballo, by the way. I know he's probably the best player on NA Falloffs by far, but still, 12 frags off the start of this game. War Machine to try and help NA Falloffs break in towards the hard point, but even that is not good enough.
It's difficult, isn't it? When you're trying to push through. Players are already bringing that level of operator in. How about any Falloffs maybe? I mean, sometimes when you see it get invested immediately, it's just keeping that pressure on, right? He's going to get it back so much quicker as well. And Falloffs bringing the big boys in, but it's a big fight over for the spawns right now. ARP investing a lot towards this backside. Shane now going to bring in the Tempest as well, and a push over towards the back. This is a wonderful position to be in with this gun. Shots starting to be fired out. Does find one before he does get taken down, but the rest of the team starting to find an investment as well here. Envy, not holding Static back there, who's managed to find one. You find a way through, but NA Falloffs just investing everything as soon as they can.
Yeah, this is actually really good from NA Falloffs on the whole map. I absolutely just cast it. I literally just started the sentence. NA Falloffs are doing really well, and almost immediately they lose all the gunfights, which is about as far as my luck goes regarding caster curses. Yeah, you could have fought that one from the front if you're NA Falloffs, but you lose the vast majority of the gunfights. And I'll be honest here, I'm not necessarily a fan of the investment of a couple of operators from ARP to break out a said spawn trap. Like, you can lose that rotation and it's fine. Envy shoots a bloody hunter-killer drone out of the sky. That is pinpoint accuracy coming out from Envy, by the way. But yeah, not the biggest fan of ARP utilizing their operators, because it means that things will be weaker here on this break towards new. You've got one player that slipped the net in Static, but I don't think they're going to be alive for that long as they go past their expiry date. Now, NA Falloffs starting to spawn towards his back.
Yeah, they did get a couple of spawning towards the back, and Unravel has just dealt with them almost immediately. This is a wonderful rotation. I think it was Static towards the back, and he just caused absolute havoc. Raballo can find a couple, but there's the rotation gone. ARP are the first ones in. There's some good time potentially on offer here. Swish will find Jez, who also did have the equalizers out and has found absolutely nothing with it. It's a terrible start from Jez as well in this game, and ARP are starting to run away with this map number 1 now. Potentially big lead coming through here, heading into the second rotation. Jez can't find the shots. Swish can find one back. ARP momentarily in control, but NA Falloffs will get the wrap around. They will find those kills. 20 seconds to play for here, and it's 20 seconds that you feel NA Falloffs really do need.
Yeah, they definitely need it at this stage in the game. You've given up a rotation that, frankly, you probably shouldn't have done. Big kills in the backline there for Unravel. For a spawn control, followed up by Swish with the equalizers. That's something we've seen from ARP before, but you said that we need to see NA Falloffs get that scrap time. That is exactly what we do see. So as we go into the second set here, Ton, this is going to be ARP with a tentative advantage, 35 points or so. See whether that can grow as we get into the second set. Right now, I need to see something more from Jez and from Envy. Envy especially, considering I think that his slaying back in last week's games was something that NA Falloffs were sorely missing. If he can set things up, Shane as well, maybe NA Falloffs will be much better off.
Well, they're not in too bad of a spot, considering rotations really didn't go their way. They lost the fights over towards P3 and 4. and yet they still only find themselves around 30 seconds behind, so it's not the end of the world right now. Switching on Rebel doing well here over towards P1, and ARP seem to be scrappy very, very well, don't they? I mean, they're finding these moments in the middle of the map. They're finding these flurry of kills over and over again, and it's just putting them in a phenomenal position to pick up time, and it's just free time. NA Falloff's nowhere near it. All of a sudden, Death Machine coming out from the side of Coldest. Is he going to find much with it? There's one onto Shane. It's now just about the setup for P2. Doesn't find a great deal. So the investment not paying off necessarily is in the form of kills, but ARP picking up some massive time at P1.
ARP getting way more time than a team, generally speaking, should get on a P1 here on Summit Hardpoint. I know that Summit Hardpoint is the hill, or is the map, excuse me, where you do see teams get more P1 control than you see on pretty much any other hardpoint map here in COD Mobile, but still, that is a lot of time to give away, and even more so now, NA Falloffs are spawning out on the wrong side of the hardpoint here, so Shen and Envy might well pick up some opening gunfights here. Envy now going to invest the claw in towards getting some time, but these close spawns for ARP is so damn annoying for NA Falloff to deal with.
They are dealing with them right now, though, and is that going to spawn out for the side of ARP? Yes, it is. Switch is going to bring in the equalizers here just to try and get something going over towards P2. Can find one, finds two. They need to shut him down as quickly as they can. You can't let that equalizer player get running, and he's just run straight forward towards the spawns. Yeah, that's going to be a flip. All of a sudden, you need to find something if you're Jez. You can find one. The second not going to quite fall your way, but the kills have now come through for NA Falloffs. This is much better. But for the side of ARP, you have just ran up so much time over the last two hills. NA Falloffs have to make these spawns count over towards P3.
Capture the objective.
You want to make sure that you don't lose the open way for gunfires, because this is very easy to get spawn trapped in towards the backline here. Instead, ARP taking the route behind enemy lines here. Looking to try and flip those spawn out. Jez gets the call that, hey, we need some reinforcements around the backline. Those players are going to be dealt with. So NA Falloffs, as far as first hold here, is pretty good. Making all the right decisions. Jez now looking to push out towards the middle of the map as well, but ARP are trying to take a variety of different routes to break in towards the hard point. I'll be honest, Ton, a lot of these are really weak pushes. You've got Unravel shooting from afar. Swish now trying to find his way up through as well, but none of it really working out as a team. Finally, Swish finds some gunfights, and now Shane has just not turned around. Fortunately, Raballo is watching that backline, and all in all, NA Falloffs here doing a good job with the team play. They might give up the last 25 seconds, but that is a solid moment of team play from NA Falloffs.
Yeah, that was really good, but the problem for them is that ARP's lead is getting a little bit scary, and you're giving up scrap time. Okay, you're going to get the rotation, you get the majority of the time over towards P3, but you really would have liked the rest of it as well. You can close that gap, and you have the rotation, though. It is overall a win. Investment coming in from both two teams. It's only Static with his operator up currently. Envy can find a kill on the rotation. This is a nice setup from NA Falloffs. And another opportunity to find some time. And even if they do find all 60 seconds of this, though, Brody, they are still not going to quite be up to ARP's 199. Static. He's done well there to find two. Washi will eventually shut him down, but the pressure going to start to come through from the side of that Coldest now with a Death Machine. Finds three. And this rotation means absolutely nothing if you all get farmed. ARP, a wonderful, wonderful break. And it might just put them within touching distance of the game.
Yeah, that is a textbook utilization of the operator there. Coldest finds a lot of value. You aren't going to find the follow-up value from ARP, though. I think Static's Tempest is only out for a second before immediately going all right. ARP think it might be worth the investment of a couple more operators here in the play. So Chryso is going to bring the War Machine out for funsies. And the Falloffs are absolutely starting to falter here towards the back half of this game. They are fighting for any bit of scrap time they could possibly get. You can really start to feel the desperation setting in as ARP really putting the screws in here. Just total control of the hard point, total, I guess, confidence in one another to make sure that they can watch every single point of entry towards the hill. NA Falloffs, you have to have a perfect third and final set of rotations here, Ton. ARP, just 17 point shy victory.
It felt like in the first rotation, ARP were the ones in control of it, and they were, I want to say, really good value for their lead. NA Falloffs have had their opportunity in that second rotation themselves to do the same, and they haven't taken it. ARP have punished them on a couple of occasions. They found some really big plays to put themselves in this position, but do not underestimate the potential comeback here from NA Falloffs. Some good time towards P1. Keep it even over towards P2. Don't let ARP get anything in the rotation to P3. I'll see you win the game. It's doable here from the side of NA Falloffs, but it is going to be difficult. ARP trying to find a route through over towards P1. They found some good time over the last two rotations on this hill, yet to really get a touch.
Yeah, I think it's just NA Falloffs playing a lot better here. Again, it feels like desperation investment coming out from Rabalo, right? This is the second time we've seen him pull this thing out on P1. You are getting a lot of time for it, so it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but Jez taking yourself out with your own operator, probably not that helpful in the grand scheme of things, but we said we needed a solid hard point of any full loss. They do exactly that. This is the hard point, though, when we need to see that same play from last time around. Get the kills up top, get the hills inside the hard point, and flip these spawns out now.
Can you do it? Rabala with the one through the front door. ARP starting to just falter a little bit, and you can't do it at these crucial moments up against a team like NA Fallouts. A contestation is absolutely fine, but those kills coming through from ARP could be massive, and all of a sudden the War Machine is out from Cryzo, and all of a sudden those times are just running out for the side of NA Fallouts. 5 seconds away, ARP still in control. Coldest absolutely frying. It's ARP comfortably winning map number 1.
Just really solid hardpoint play from ARP. And it wasn't like perfect hardpoint play by any stretch of the imagination, right? We weren't looking at some of the next up in the North American region, right? But I think just a little bit better when it was required of it. And I think that, you know, multiple moments in that game, I think we just kind of saw NA Fallouts lacking on key rotations where you expect them to know this is a hard point where we need to focus on the rotation more than necessarily pushing through goal time, such as I think the P1 and P2 rotation. They lost that a couple of times in that game. And instead, I think they were just kind of laser focused on finding frags that they were not focused on the wider meta game of actually making sure they held rotation. Of course, it didn't help that we saw some really good operator utilization coming up from ARP, especially towards the mid game there, with plays like that Death Machine from Coldest, but still, just phenomenal play from ARP on the whole. And I'll actually make an adjustment to my earlier call about a couple of changes to the roster, right? Because I talked about the fact that Chagabu is out of the lineup. It's good to see Static back in the lineup, even though they're not necessarily the biggest player on the lineup here at 34 and 39. I think he provides a lot of map control that ARP, I think, desperately needed in that game.
I mean, I think of the first time that we went over towards P4, he was the one that kind of broke the setup that was there for Fallout. So I think I want to kind of point towards that as being the loss condition for NA Fallouts. 2 occasions that they had the rotation over towards P4 and was set up pretty nicely, never held anything. Both times the first push kind of comes through, and full credit towards the side of ARP. I mean, you find those breaks, and that's not an easy thing to do. But at the same time, if you're NA Fallouts, you hold one of those, all of a sudden we're heading towards the last P3. Things are a lot closer, and then we maybe see them win the game. So it's a tough one. I think you can't necessarily point towards those tiny moments, even though I think it's just, it was very indicative of how things ran, though. They had their opportunities, did not take them. ARP did have their opportunities also, and did take them. Now we're going to be heading into a search and destroy coming up in map number 2 here, and I believe it's Tunisia coming up, and from what we've seen previously from NA Fallouts was a shaky game on this one, on this map in particular, where the setup seemed to have plenty of holes in it, Brody.
Yeah, and this is the big thing for me. So I think, you know, there's a couple of things to look back from between NA Fallouts and Mythic on this search and destroy. Now, one of them is don't let stupid plays happen. I'm referencing the Indra 3K. That Indra 3K should never happen in a bazillion years. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it was the 2 versus 3 for On Mythic. Indra waltzes in for a retake. So, like, literally, you've got 3 players around the site, 4 NA Fallouts around the B site. And it's just Indra just walking straight into the site and getting 3 kills for free. Like, no trades whatsoever from NA Fallouts. Fix that. Don't let that happen. That's step number 1 here. Step number 2, and I think they've already done this, and I mentioned this when I was talking about kind of the changes to the roster coming into the series, you've got to have more sniper presence, and I think they were sorely missing Envy, right? Washi, you kind of have to have 2 snipers on this map, right? You've got to have somebody watching the open towards the A cut, and you've got to have somebody at the back of the B site. And I think Washi could only do one of those 2 things at any given moment. He didn't have a second sniper, certainly not one that was prominent enough to actually do anything. And On Mythic were exploiting that round after round after round. You were sorely missing Envy in the lineup in that matchup. Now Envy's here, and I think the sniper presence on defense is going to be a lot better. So I expect the defenses to be better, but I also I don't want to see any silly plays. If I see silly plays and a fall off, so you guys will be truly living up to your name.
Well, let's see if they can tighten things up here in Tunisia. So, I mean, let's bear in mind, look, we're kind of putting them on a bit of a blast there. They only lost to 10-8 in overtime, right? It wasn't necessarily like they got blown out of the water. But, you know, when you see those plays and you see those rounds, that's the little difference makers for them, right? They're a talented enough team where they can push games all the way. We've seen a 50-point game there in the hard point, but one better hold than what we've seen, which wasn't necessarily too great from them. And then all of a sudden, we're in a game. ARP getting very, very aggressive, though, to kick things off. And Shane is there to find the first one. Kills need to fall ARP's way if they want a good chance on this one. They are going to find something. But now a 2 versus 2. They can find a breakthrough. It's going to have to be the retake here from NA Falloffs. Rabalo and Washi. On Washi, I should say, are on their way. Bomb is going to go down. Coldest and Swish to hold it.
Already immediate aggression coming out here for Rabalo. I think NA Falloffs realize that's the way towards the site. Rabalo doesn't know where the second player is. Swish is able to win that gun. Now Washi, already weak for the gunfight, and Swish will take that all day long. ARP just waltz out into the site and get that bomb down. Immediately know what the defensive setup is going to be look like. It looks like ARP might have done some VOD work on NA Falloffs here.
Yep, got very, very aggressive. Find the 3-on-3 kind of fight over towards A. Doesn't go in their favor, but they eventually will have a 2 versus 2. They have the side control. And they fall off to the one that have to find the push, and they don't. Big B push coming here from the side of ARP. You got Washi over towards the side. He's already butted up. He's backed up. Free B site for you. This bomb will be going down pretty much momentarily. And then they fall off. Going to have to find a retake if they can.
The bomb has been planted.
And NA Falloffs not too strong on the defense here. Washi is going to find a pick, though. I think that was through the wall. I'm fairly certain Washi's just found a pick through the wall. I know you can do that, but that's still bloody ridiculous. Coldest, though, might well have just called round in this one. Sadek catches Envy off guard. Now Jez can't even get anything done with the R9. You might need that HSO out at this point, buddy. As ARP, I think it was Coldest that definitely called it there. I would have loved to have seen that 1 versus 1 from Washi through the wall, though.
Defend the objective.
I mean, yeah, great. They got slammed the rest of the round, I suppose, right? He's finding the picks, but just the team not able to hold up their end of the bargain. Now a big push over towards A, but they're running into a lot of members of NA Falloffs who are here. Rabalo, Jez working well. We'll find a couple of Cries who can answer back with something. Needs to find a second. It's going to be Coldest, though. And all of a sudden, a now 2 versus 3 for the side of ARP. Make it a 2 versus 2. This will be a technical 2 versus 5 there in the end, or 3 versus 5 there. Will eventually go down now to a 1 versus 2 for Chrysler, who's already found 2 in the round.
Just going to back away here. Should know that this is going to be an A hit. Checks the B side anyway, just in case. Like, yeah, just in case these guys have, like, transported. But Chrysler now looking to get the bomb down. And NA Falloffs know that that bomb is slap bang in the middle of the A site. So Chrysler now looking for some good timing. Washi is looking in the direction, and he is not going to miss with the Tundra. So, yeah, much better play there from NA Falloffs, making sure that that retake does not happen. Just, I need to see better from NA Falloffs on actually winning these initial fights, because you're giving ARP way too much of a look at these sides. Even in that round, Coldest gets into sight with a couple of kills. ARP here, working off the back of that. And it is going to be slower here from ARP off the start of this round. They're not quite as aggressive as they have been previously. And I think that's because of open utility. That trophy too far back actually to deal with any of it.
I think it feels like, you know, our whole demeanor around NA Falloffs is just to expect better, isn't it? You just look at the players in this roster and expect them to be able to hold things down, but that's a hell of a nade going to come ringing on through. Jez dealt with immediately. Unravel will find Rapalo, and they have done their homework. ARP working so well right now. Unravel was able to find something with utility there. We've seen the hit marker coming in after an off-screen interaction. Not going to happen this time under Washi, though. Static won't be the only one to fall, but it's going to have to be a 2v4 retake for NA Falloffs. This has been a wonderful start to the attacking side for ARP.
Just again, the way that ARP are playing is out of this world right now. You're not even challenging B as well. You've shouted, I think, once, and it might well have worked, but still, this is just clinical. Envy with a shout. Nice snipes. Time to put on a clinic. We'll get the second kill. Nice from Envy. Phase 5 application denied. Envy sent packing, and ARP continue to steal away these offensive rounds.
Just a big push that comes through. Jazz is the first one to follow the nade. Landing right at his feet, can do nothing about it. The second pick found as well. Just feels like NA Falloffs defenses are crumbling far too easily, but ARP are playing it well. Static through the middle of the map. The smoke is down. This is a push over towards B. You're going to have to get on a swivel pretty quickly if you're NA Falloffs, but the setup here might actually work. Envy can find the shots, but doesn't find the kill. Doesn't know there's a player on the bomb as well. Why is the information here for ARP? Do they know what's going down? Swish will find Envy, and they kind of got caught in between a rock and a hard place here. Washi now trying to find something, just bullets heading his way. Will find himself in an awkward position for ARP to deal with. Well, he's not got many teammates left. It's a 5 versus 3.
Yeah, and I think Coldest has just made this significantly more awkward because you were expecting reinforcements coming from defense side. That hasn't happened, and you get shut down. ARP! This isn't even like... I mean, it's somewhat bad play from NA Falloffs. ARP are definitely capitalizing on that, but just solely focusing here from a positive POV on ARP's play. Like, they are playing so damn well as a team right now. Constantly having one another's backs, constantly trying to catch NA Falloffs with guard. Their pushes in towards sites especially, I think, has been immaculate. It really does feel like they've found the perfect composition of players here on this roster. And it's the same look once again here. Slow off the start, trying to get a feel for what the defense looks like for NA Falloffs. Jez is probably... It feels so weird that Jez is sat under in this position. You generally speaking want a sniper where Jez is right now. And so for him to be in this position as opposed to kind of under maybe, you know, it just feels so awkward for Jez to be the player here.
Unravel. We'll find the first kill into Shane. Now all of a sudden, you're down to men again, but Jez this time is going to be in the position where he can do something here. Swish playing the angles, just taking his time, but Jez will find a kill, and all of a sudden he has a shark in a place you just don't want him to be. Coldest can find one, Washi will find one to answer back, Jez will find another. He's held it down so well. Cryzo now left in a 1 versus 3 if he wants it. Jez and Rabal are now left, and it's a 1 versus 2. But Jez has done really well just to hold that down, and they Falloffs do a really good job over towards A. And what could be a crucial round, right? You go 5-1 down, and you're on the attacking side. It's a disaster. 4-2 feels a little bit more doable.
Yeah, I think ARP just a little bit slow there. Cryzo could still win this 1v2. He's got time to work with. Got time to clear every single corner on the site. Player right below him as well. Ball has been made. Audio cue. Cryzo gets some shots tagged into him, and Jez will close things out. So yeah, well played there for NA Falloffs. I think ARP probably helped them by playing slow on the push. If they'd have been faster, Jez would have probably been dead, but no. NA Falloffs able to get numbers onto the site, and that flank from Washi is the final nail in the coffin for that round. So no 1 versus 3 for Cryzo. ARP now on the defense. Heavy hitting towards A, and this is a pretty bog standard setup, if you will, right? Everything for the B's defense is unravel on towards that site. The rest of the forces for ARP keeping an eye on the mid-map. The only thing I will say that is maybe somewhat stressful here is that you're basically relying on the jiggle peak from Swish as far as mid-map pressure is concerned. So if NA Falloffs are quick with it on a potential B hit through mid, they would get the site, but that is not the route they have chosen. Gambit has been made. It's going to be an A kit. They've already taken some time off the clock here, so not a lot of time to work with.
Can they find anything to get them through and back into this one? I mean, it was nice that they were able to find that last round, but I'm under no illusions. This is still a very difficult task now for NA Falloffs. Try and get themselves back into this one. 2 rounds down, heading on to the attack. Are you as well drilled? Because right now, ARP have got the men to deal with this. Over towards this side of the map. Coldest holding the angle to push through Winery. NA Falloffs yet to find anything, but they will find Static. He peeks his head out, and all of a sudden it creates that question. Cryzo can find Envy to even things up. It almost felt like NA Falloffs there had a bit of an opening and considered a push over towards B. The kill comes back though, they stay over, and now they are slowly and surely making their way through. Coldest has to find something, he doesn't find anything. Walshy is there for the bait, and all of a sudden he picks up the kills. Rabalo's there to pick up some more pieces. Wonderful take from NA Falloffs, now in a 3 versus 1.
Okay, this is NA Falloffs. This is the NA Falloffs I wanted to see. It feels like the dragon has awoken here. Finally. Getting flashbacks to the old personality here of NA Falloffs. That little bait player there, I think it was Washi working from Shane, who jumps his way down on towards the site.
Defend the objective.
It was Unravel, or Coldest, excuse me. He was forced to peek up to try and pick up the gunfights, and Washi picks him off. Really, really well played from NA Falloffs. That is what I want to see for the remainder of this S&D. They are taking their time to try and feel out ARP. Don't need to do much because it's the exact same setup in the defense once again. This time around, though, ARP going to give this a shot towards B. And so this entire round for the defense relies on Unravel.
Can he just find an opening, pick, and get out? Smokes down are going to make that a lot more difficult. And you can imagine ARP are going to be making their way over here in just a second. Staying alive over towards the back. Unravel, well, not for long. Chrysler's now going to have to find his way over pretty quickly, but Swish has hit an immediate flank. He knew what was going on. He goes through the middle of the map, finds it. Bomb's still not going down. 4 versus 4. ARP, and I love that from Swish. He's went on the flank and then he's just completely left it. But look at NA follow-ups. Number 4 and 5 have had to spin around. But kills starting to go down from both these two squads, but mostly over towards the side of NA falloffs. They found the kills inside the side. Coldest can find one, Cryzo another. This will be a 2 versus 4. Cryzo misses the shot. Washi does not. 1 versus 2 for Coldest. And Washi again. Starting to find those sniper angles he didn't find last week. 4-4. All of a sudden it's 2 attacking rounds back to back for NA falloffs.
Yeah, just really well played from NA falloffs. Again, you know, they might not have the scrim time at the moment, but they certainly do have the experience, and that's showing out in moments like that where they are playing as a team. It is just fundamental team play. It is good enough to beat ARP for the last couple of offensive rounds. So NA falloffs it. See what they do for this offensive push. They've thrown 3 different looks now consecutively. Trying to make Swish feel uncomfortable on the opening. And Jez is going to win that one with the R9. Again, probably should be an HSO, but you know what? We're not going to judge. Whatever works for you. Now the next objective, try and take Unravel out the backline once again.
Oh, Envy. Those are the kind of shots that we've missed. And those are the kind of moments, oh my goodness me, that NA falloffs have needed. Washi Nelly finds a second. But all of a sudden, ARP are all at sea. They have not found a defensive round through 3, and that's presuming they don't win this one. Coldest and Static. Well, you need to find something. Coldest has got 10 kills to his name. And yet they've just bled 3 rounds in a row. I mean, this is just impossible, surely, for NA falloffs to lose, right? I mean, you go for the Chal, you back them down. Static dealt with. Coldest dealt with. Jez is really starting to heat up now. 9 kills after a slow start to this series. That's back-to-back-to-back attacking rounds for NA falloffs.
And it is just a total difference in the way that they're playing. The last 3 rounds, it feels like in a capsule is exactly what we wanted to see from NA falloffs. Basically, the entirety of this series so far. It's team play. It's just playing well on the trades. And the ARP have not been able to deal with that one whatsoever. It's also worth saying again, they are throwing different looks at ARP, and I think that's kind of adding some confusion into the mix. This is the 4th different consecutive look now we've seen from NA falloffs on this offense. This time around, it's a heavy hit in towards A. ARP are backed all the way out of the site. You've lost first blood. The problem with not having any presence on site, though, is it becomes infinitely more difficult on the retake.
Yeah, you've got nobody there to unsettle players like Washi who can just set up, aim down sights, and there ain't a goddamn thing you can do about it. Swish though, gonna find a way through. Rabalo turns around at the right time. And now this is just so difficult as Rabalo will find a second. NA falloffs are running away with this attack. And I was saying, you know, it feels like it's been a really poor defensive side from them. Well, okay, well, it doesn't really matter if you can find this many attacking rounds this easily. Wonderful play from NA falloffs. 6-4 to the good now.
It feels like they just lean forward. I don't know. Like, that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's like the first like 6 rounds of this search and destroy. They're like, yeah, we're kind of not bothered with this, but it's fine. You know, just got our feet up, got some WWE on in the background or something like that. Just relaxing, having a chillax time. NA falloffs are now locked in for the last 4. So a little bit more effort. And ARP in the dust. Once again, different look at the start of this round. They went A last time around, B this time. Different look on the defense, though, for ARP. Static is watching that mid-cut. Swish has been spotted out by Jez, and I think Static is going to be the play call. They've just seen him. I think Static moving forward here. There's absolutely no way that Jez perfectly predicts this. Nope, not even going to get the chance. Straight back towards B they go. No trophy towards the back of the site, so they could throw as much utility at Unravel as they want to take him out.
Benefit for ARP is that they had a good attacking side themselves. Oh my god, okay, well, never mind. Washi is just seeing through smoke right now. and Rebel will get taken down. And I was about to say for ARP, you're only a round away from really making this a little bit more difficult, but NA Falloff's now in the 4 versus 3. Static was able to find one back. Swish finds another, makes it a 3 versus 3. This bomb is yet to go down. Swish in a lot of trouble. Does eventually get taken down, but Static will then hop into gear, but is it too little too late? He's chasing shadows right now as NA Falloffs have waltzed onto this side, but Static can find 2. Static for the 1 versus 3. They all line up. They don't know where he is, and he shuts them down. ARP still with life in this search.
You know, I was going to say, maybe Static should be using the R9, because he's pretty good with that thing. I'm kind of glad that he's not now, and I'm pretty sure ARP will be glad of that as well. That was not the best from NA Falloffs. They line up for Static. Easiest 1 versus 3 he's going to have in a long time. Now NA Falloffs. I mean, I'd like to say that there isn't a strategy for NA Falloffs. It definitely feels like that right now. They are just playing a variety of different looks at ARP on this offense. Here's another one. Passive play, trying to buy out aggression from ARP off the start of this round. They've technically got it. Coldest is pushed well far up. But whether or not Jez will be ready for this one is a different story. Jez technically has the better weapon for this situation.
And that was a 3 versus 1 to close out the game, but cries out Coldest will both be dealt with. It feels like Washi has really awoken here in this search and destroy. And now you're going to need another clutch situation to go your way, and they're already reverting back over towards the B side, and Ravel needs to get there quickly. You're not going to get there quickly enough. They have already garnered control. They will find Jez in the middle of the map, who is trying to hold that down, so that will give them a slither of hope here, Brody. But NA Falloffs now, surely they don't let this one slip as well.
You'd think. Got to try and re-entry in towards this site. It's been difficult in the past. NA Falloffs, especially after the last few rounds, have gotten much, much better. The post plants. That's a nice snipe from Envy as well. Finally starting to wake up. Shane in a position where even if Envy doesn't find that frag, it should be his. And just one more player. It is all good for NA Falloffs as they tie this series up. They awake in the second half of that search and destroy. First half, I mean, I just did not look like they were even bothered. Second half, they're like, hold on. We got an S&D to win, boys. Let's lock in.
Well, it was a tale of 2 attacking halves, wasn't it? Both the squads having a lot of luck on that side of things. The defense was really, I mean, lackluster from both of them, right? But both attacking extremely well with nice hits coming through, and it felt like solid ideas across the board. But NA Falloffs, well, in the end, almost flawless. It was a 1 versus 3 that was needed from the side of ARP just to find one defensive round. The big clutch up, I want to say that big moment where it was 4-1 to ARP, a 5-1 lead heading in towards their defensive side would have been absolutely huge for them. I mean, we would have been heading over towards overtime now if NA Falloffs weren't able to find that final defensive round. But then they nearly go flawless on their attack as well. Really big game from them. Washi and Envy lighting it up with the snipers. Robalo doing well as well. And Jez really turned things around. He wasn't necessarily having the best start of things in the search and destroy, but a really nice round throughout the middle of that. Actually, I think it was the final defensive round where he held it down through archers. Really good stuff from Jez and the boys to tie the series up now, Brody. And we very much have one in our hands, don't we? It felt, especially after that attacking side from ARP, that this one was going to be done quickly. But NA Falloffs showing their mettle here. They will take the Tunisia. We're heading over towards a crossfire. We will see a slums, potentially a standoff as well.
I wouldn't be surprised at this point. I mean, I'll be honest, to me, it really does feel like how much NA Falloffs lock in for the next couple of maps. Like, I think we've seen it now where it's just like they feel like when they want to play well, they can definitely do so. They can definitely take out ARP. And we saw that for like 4 rounds. Yeah. I think it was 4 or 5 rounds straight in that search and destroy, right? Where it's just like they were very clearly playing much better as a team. They were very clearly strategizing, whereas it was quite clear I think they weren't for the first few rounds in that search and destroy. Like, I don't know how else to say it, right? I mean, it just NA Falloffs really started caring towards the back half of that S&D, and now's the time to. If you don't care now, you're not going to get into challenge finals. With that said, we do have that crossfire control coming up next, and this is where I think NA Falloffs did just get outplayed by on Mythic last time around, right? I talk about that 14 versus 8, when maybe it was a bit of a fumble. I think it was Robalo who had like a wasted war machine, and that probably didn't help them. But still, you look at the last couple of rounds, and they did just get totally spawn trapped. I don't anticipate them having to deal with that here. So I'm expecting a lot better play from NA Fall-Offs. But honestly, I just want to see what we saw for like 4 rounds straight in Search and Destroy. Can I get that NA Fall-Offs back, please?
Let's see if you can get it. Your own Crossfire, because this is a very, very different style of play, isn't it? Push immediately, of course, coming over towards this A side. ARP trying to get something going. Jez, though, doing well to back them on down. This is start for the side of NA Fall-Offs, but ARP positively out of their spawn, and that is the main thing you have to do first on Crossfire.
Yeah, you actually have to win the first wave of gunfights. Getting control of A is, generally speaking, the easier of the two things to do, right? I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it's like you almost expect to get A on an offense. You kind of have to if you want to guarantee a defense for a potential round of 5 down the line. So this being the start that ARP have got is not exactly promising. They've got a couple of players that might manage to slip the net here. Static being one of them, who actually does manage to get the kill against Shane. Was that the MK2? Is Static got the MK2 in hands right now? I have no idea what Static is using. It is the HSO. Okay, the HSO is coming out, and this is what I wanted to see. Static with the R9 was a pretty solid player. The arguably more powerful HSO in his hand.
Dangerous.
Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, this is dangerous. They're starting to put the pressure on here as well. If they had really filtered through the A side, a spawn trap was on the cards, but Static's just going to hold it down over towards B. They're going to dot their I's and cross their T's here at ARP. A will be captured. Static just trying to stay alive, and he's just being a nuisance yet. Just keeping that presence so NA Fall-Offs can't walk into this building uncontested. Nades galore finding their way through. Oh my goodness me. HSO doing hellish work on the Shane there. Envy will eventually take Static down after a bit of a tear over towards this B side, I should say. But I mean, for all the pressure he was able to put on, he was never able to get any help. ARP, yes, okay, they will get a hold of him. They will extend that time. But they weren't able to get the presence over there to help their teammate out.
Be advised, hostile hunter-killer drone inbound.
ARP just very happy at the moment that they've managed to get control of A. They've done that at the very least. They've got themselves a full life advantage here. NA Fall-Offs kind of in danger of potential spawn trap. 3 down kills now starting to come through from ARP. Predator missile coming down from the heavens from Static as well. That's going to force NA Fall-Offs all the way back. Rabalo very fortunate he managed to pick up that kill against Swish. Washi, you got the Tundra out here and respawn? Are you good? What is this? ARP now, a massive life advantage here in this one ton, and they're really starting to put the screws in.
Yeah, looking good on the attacking side, but that's a wave of kills that may well help NA Fall-Offs. But it's the pressure. It's where you are on the map. Coldest will get taken down. As will Cryzo. 8 versus 6. Big gunfight incoming. Oh my god, Envy, please finish it off. Can't. Static now, pushing forward. Shots in with the HSO, and Shane dead to right. Static, 12 kills in the control here with the HSO. Been doing God's work for the team. It's a 7 versus 4. NA Fall-Offs cannot make any more mistakes. They've got to hold this down. They're trying to hold it down from the other side because they don't want to go near this man right now. Washi has dealt with it's a 7 versus 3. ARP should be taking round number 1.
Looks like it. Rabalo, 1v6 would be required. They're going to force his hand by jumping on towards the point. Rabalo gets in, picks up one gunfight, slows it down ever so slightly, slipping and sliding left, right, and center. It's not going to be enough. No movement is going to get you out of that. As ARP, what a phenomenal start to this control. Offenses galore. Exactly what you want to see. They don't rest on their laurels with insight control, albeit I think Static most certainly helped finishing that round with 12 kills. They push all the way through, try and force the advantage. AOP, solid start to this control off the defense here. They now want to make sure they don't lose A off the rip.
And they hold it. Rabalo with the War Machine already. Dangerous spot to be. Coldest up. Death Machine. Trying to shut this down as well. Keeping that pressure on. Nothing found from Rabalo, but if anything, he has zoned them off, right? I mean, that's not a good fight you want to take, and all of a sudden, Rabalo can find an impossible one by the looks of things. Swish, though, over towards the spawn. He's got the equalizers out. This could be bad. He finds a third onto Envy, and they have to spin around and deal with him. That's well played from the side of NA Fall-Offs. They get a hold of it, and they shut down what could have been a disaster in the spawn.
That's a solid start from NA Fall-Offs. Pretty much exactly what you wanted. You said you kind of survive a brush with death, potential spawn trap. And now you got to start moving forward here. You got to start picking up some of these gunfights. And if I'm ARP, I'd be very careful about losing control of that left side building. Static in trouble. He's been so good at map control with the HSO. And they Falloffs know they've got to take him out of position if they want to make a move towards B. And they're definitely trying to, but they're being pressured from a lot of different angles here. Finally, you send one player forward, and it's Shane with an HSO, not going to find any value whatsoever. Shane really needs to step up. Currently only 4 kills in this game, and that's probably the moment you wanted it, but it's okay. You're starting to get kills. You finally got Static out of that position now. You can start to move forward.
Yep, they find their way through towards the Butcher side. And they have a little bit of presence here. Oh, Jez gonna try and find the push forward. Equalizers are out, and this could be a really, really big problem now for the side of ALP. Gonna start getting formed after respawn. Kryzo can find an important kill, but is the damage already done? And they fall off now. Inside of B, you've got to find a route back through if you're ALP at this moment in time. And then Falloff's investing a lot to get this one done. It's feeling like they should do. ALP gonna go for the retake, but they have to nearly be perfect. They have to be perfect very, very quickly. Second tick is in. You can't get near any. Falloff smell blood in the water. And they have just made sure to secure this round after that. A big one from NA. Falloff stands back to ALP's attack. One apiece.
Just phenomenal work from NA Falloff. So once you get stuck into that offensive spawn trap, it's really difficult to get out of it. Of course, it works for the other way as well, but still, it's just so difficult. And I think ARP focused just a little bit too much there on keeping control of the site itself as opposed to the middle of the map. As soon as they lost the latter, lost full control of the map on the whole. So NA Falloff's phenomenal job there on the offense. But we talk about the kind of defense here to begin with. They've fully given up the A site. They're not going to be able to stop this. I think there's a trip cap coming through here. This is a super fast capture. Streak coming down from the heavens though. Envy might be able to stop this.
Oh, he does. Finds 2 at least. Holder's going to have to try and hold this on his own. He does actually have a teammate up ahead of him who's going to be able to cause some issues as well. But Washi's in the spawn with an Annihilator and has found 4. That's going to put a big dent into ARP's attack. They are able to find a way out, and they are able to find A. Investment from Washi, though, is just going to get that pressure on. Now Raballo can try and let the rat to it himself. Kryza should be dead to rights here, and there's the second from Raballo. Washi finds another with a hunter-killer drone, and all of a sudden, well, it was looking dangerous. ALP have bled a lot here, and they're not really in a good position to push forward. A lot of investment coming from NA Falloff. Shane finds absolutely nothing in the middle of the map, and ARP will have their opportunity. They have 3 operators of their own. NA Falloffs invest a lot. Have they gained that much? Not necessarily.
ARP, this is not the worst position in the world to be in. You're only down by 2 lives. You've got 25 seconds to work with here. Gunfight you want to take if you're static in towards the B cubby. Still a lot to ask for players across the middle of the map, and you really need to get Jez out of this advanced position. He's being such a nuisance right now, not just towards static, but towards other players as well. Envy, or if Jez, continues to have that position, it's going to be frustrating. Jez is also winning gunfights. This is about as bad of a position as you could ask for. You got to get Jez out of that power position. Now you've got static up close as well. Every single gunfight that could be going NA Falloff's way is. Finally, though, value around the front, and almost immediately, NA Falloff's go and plug that hole.
Envy's the one you have to get rid of. A horrible gunfight to try and take. Washi is here with him as well, but just big aggression coming through. Static can't find anything with HSO, but Swish will find 2. And this was the operator as we were talking about. Investment comes in from Kryzo. And now it's going to be sent towards the spawn if he can find anything, waiting for the push to come through. But the problem is that you need to get onto the site, and you're not feeling too confident to do so. 35 seconds to go here.
Oh, wow.
You could just see NA Falloffs are backed up because they know there's 3 operators kind of on the market here for the side of ALP. Shane can answer back with a kill on the Swish. Big kill from Kryzo. Now they can get on the point. 10 versus 6, 10 versus 4. Still, though, now for the side of Unravel and Co., they've lost everything. 9 versus 3. This has been a good hold from NA Falloffs. There was a big investment came through from ALP, and it's not going to work out. They will hold it down. 2-1 lead here under control. And honestly, for me, I think it was just about keeping that pressure on. As soon as they got their operators available there, Brody, they invested them.
Yeah.
They did some decent damage with it that might not have seen them in that position towards the latter round with that advantage they had.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that NA Falloffs held that A side of the map, right? I think that's the key differentiating factor there between ARP and NA Falloffs and their offensive round so far, is that NA Falloffs seem to be much more content with pushing players forward. They're not just kind of backing up all the way in towards the B zone. They're making sure that they push players forward for map control. And it is slowing ARP up on these offenses. They're having to put a lot of investment, a lot of resources into making sure you deal with those advanced players. And it is not working out. So NA Falloffs now, one more offense. They take a 2-1 series advantage. You're starting to win the trades out as well. Players push all the way forwards. That is a big gunfight for Unravel to win against Envy, because he could have caused some serious problems. So Now things are a little bit more standard here for ARP on the defense. You just got to try and take these players off A.
Just about keeping that presence away from the B side. Big gunfight going over towards the other side. Jez has just found an unreal kill onto Unravel off screen. It looked like the gunfight went on forever and he takes him down. Rabala will fall though to the side of Static, but a little bit of presence from the side of any fall-offs towards Butcher's side. Jez can find another. Is still going. And Washi now with the Annihilator out. We've seen him find 4 in the previous round. He's looking for his first here. Doesn't quite hit it on the coldest. Everything else being invested over the side of NA fall-offs. Want to get this one done and send themselves to a map number 4 with a series point on offer. Trying to find something here. If your Static can't shut it down, Jez is still going over towards Butcher's side.
Again, it's just these advanced positions for NA fall-offs. You've got yourself a 5-life advantage now. And it's time for NA ARP to start pulling out the big guns. Switch for the equalizers is doing exactly that. Looking for some kind of spawn trap. You probably wanted a little bit more. I think goes in, guns blazing. Ends up being punished for it. So now NA fall-offs, they might well be pushed all the way back, but you have a massive life advantage here. This would be a chuckle if they end up losing it. You do have to regain map advantage, and you've got so many different positions to try and check from. See whether or not they can get it done, but that opening snipe from Washi is everything. You cannot step out into the middle of the map if you're ARP.
Yeah, that's a big pick. Washi just looking to find anything he can. He's found Static as well. Jez is with him. They found more, and Washi will start to put his foot down. 11 versus 4. It's a hard one now for the side of NA fall-offs to really lose out here. Equalizes in from Jez, who has just been so good in this round and in this map specifically. Cannot find the kill on Unravel, and all of a sudden, though, things are very much unraveling for the side of ARP. We're in such a good position after 5 rounds of the Search and Destroy, and yet, just 10-15 minutes later, they find themselves now down 2-1, and they are 1 map away from crashing out of this season's Challenge Finals.
Just can't believe the turnaround we've seen over the last couple of maps, and you saw it here at key moments, right? ARP definitely had their moments. I think Static with the HSO was a big one early on. It was the reason why they're able to successfully win round number 1. But we actually saw a couple of offensive victories on the whole there from NA fall-offs. A couple of moments where it looked like they felt confident over and over again. And just when they want to turn it on, I think they absolutely can. And that's the key differentiating factor for me right now, is that you look at this lineup and it does just feel like they just have such massive slaying power that it's a massive threat, and it can snowball out of control so damn quickly. We saw that multiple times in that control. Beyond the first round, not really much to talk about there for ARP. And now we're in a situation here where I didn't necessarily think we would be off the start of this series. ARP were phenomenal at hardpoint. They're kind of clinging on to that now going into the second one.
Yeah, and they really are. I suppose for the side of ARP, you're heading into another good fundamental hardpoint, and you played that Summit very, very well in that sense. So let's see if they can find breaks like they did, or are NA fall-offs going to be able to hold down more so like they didn't in map number 1 here when we go over towards Slums. It could be a hell of a map to close things out for NA fall-offs, or do we head to a standoff Search and Destroy to see who's going to actually advance through to those challenge finals from this challenge season? It's still anybody's game here for me. I know NA fall-offs have kind of turned it on these last 2 maps in particular, but the hardpoint was really, really good from the side of ARP in map number 1. So can they find that again? That's going to be the question for them, is that they came into this series all guns blazing. Those guns are went a little cold now. Can you find them again, though?
Yeah, and you know, we go back towards that map number 1, and it was ARP just looked so well positioned as a team. And, you know, I'll say what I've been saying pretty series on, which is it feels like when NA fall-offs are losing, they're losing for the most part because they're not playing as a team. We saw that early doors in Search and Destroy. We saw that through the hard point where they were kind of losing rotations, which you wouldn't normally expect NA fall-offs to lose. So as long as they can get their fundamentals straight, they'll be perfectly fine. For ARP, I gotta start seeing this team play come out again. I gotta start seeing these guys trading a little bit more effectively, because it feels like what's been happening in the last couple of maps, I think especially towards the back half of that Search and Destroy and towards the defensive rounds, is that they'll lose a couple of kills and I think they just kind of panic a little bit. They're like, oh god, what do we do here? Let's just start taking individual challenges to make some heroic plays. And when you don't win those, I mean, that's everything. You've lost now. Your heads, right? You're running around like headless chickens. So I think if they can kind of calm down a little bit here, play a little bit more like a team like we saw in map number 1, they should be fine. I guess the more positive factor you take away here is that you saw NA fall-offs lose this map to On Mythic last week. So, you know, you can definitely win it.
let's see if we can turn this series around, or can NA Falloffs close this one out. The Slums Hardpoint coming up, and it's my favorite map at the moment. I'm not gonna lie, it does. Yeah. I think probably from a nostalgia point of view more than anything, but it's just it very much feels like the better teams really do know what they're doing on this one. They're watching their homework from years and years ago when this one was. First time Hardpoint ever came out, mate. It was a long time ago. I don't even.
Yeah, it was fun. How old were you think they're going back to the Black Ops 2 VODs? They're like, yeah, we're loading up Black Ops 2. We're loading Epsilon, taking on Farico.
Oh man, I remember the days.
See, long time with it. It does play very differently. I will say that much. I think we'll talk about that with P3, P4, but I've noticed the P4 spawns on this map are kind of like crazy. They can like teams are spawning in garage when like the other team has P3 control. It's so weird. Anyway, off this one, we're expecting NA Falloffs to play a little bit better than they did versus on Mythic. They want to call this series here and qualify for challenge finals, and it's been a solid start so far, right? You're seeing them get the opening gunfights here a ton. Now looking over towards the next hard point, they are the ones in control. But I'll say what I always say when it comes down to this P2 rotation. Sometimes being the first team here and having those back spawns isn't that favorable.
It can't be, but if you find this opening couple of gunfights, it puts you in a good position, but you've lost a few, and now all of a sudden it can be a bit like fish in a barrel. Washi needs to hold this down from the back side. And with the rest of the team to potentially get out their spawn, they can do. They're free to. And Raballo is actually just going to try and pick them off here with the War Machine. Starts winging that out. Washi's found a couple of. Washi's done so well here to hold things down, and now they can start to get a little bit more breathing room. 35 seconds to go here over towards P2. ARP in a position where they can potentially strike. Swish can find one. Finds his way in. Raballo holds it down. And Falloff's doing just about enough.
And it doesn't feel like ARP are putting enough pressure around the back, other side of this hard point, right? They're kind of just all headbutting the front. Now you're getting the worst spawns possible as well. Split spawns, as a matter of fact, as ARP do have a couple of players in towards the rotation. Back spawns in towards old is nice for scrap time. It's not going to do you a lot of favors as far as hill control towards next is. But Cryzo, they're going to deal with players that have made a rotational already forward. Shot's not that great on towards Envy as well, so he's now going to have to deal a little bit more than just Envy, and will get overwhelmed for it. So I think ARP a little bit slow on the reaction there for this rotation. Now NA4 is already in a position to do something about this next hard point.
It feels like a different NA Falloffs, doesn't it? Feels like that first map, they were merely just warming into the series, because since then they've just looked a slight step ahead. I say that though, as ARP will start to find some kills, and well, hopefully for them, something over towards P3. Big investment coming through from both two teams, but it's ARP the ones who come off the better. A hold over towards P3 will get them back into this game, and not just back into it, into the lead. So NA Falloffs trying to pick their way in from the statue side. Still a decent hold here from ARP. Static holding on as long as he can. 20 seconds to play for P3. ARP still in control.
And you're very happy with that time. Yeah, I was going to say, you're very happy to take some time away if you're ARP. You're fortunate to get any at all, considering what's happened with the spawns here. There's a couple of kills coming through from Shane, though. We'll pop that balloon, and there is that spawn. I do not know why this spawn exists. I have so many questions as to what on earth the logic is for Cole just to spawn in the backline there when NA Falloffs literally have players, on the fountain. I don't even know anymore. Regardless, NA Falloffs able to now get some kills here. An opportunity to really pull away in this game as long as they can get the gunfire. You do have Envy anchoring per se towards the backline here, so should be in all positions to deal with any ARP threat wanting to make their way towards.
Drone deployed.
I mean, they're holding this down well. It's gonna have to take an operator play from ARP if they want to try and find a break. Just feels like I feel like especially Washi's just stepped to that level we have come to expect from it, and it's causing so many problems for the side of ARP. War Machine is now out from Cryzo. Can't find a great deal with it. Washi and Shane holding this down. Cryzo will then fall. Yeah, nice hold from NA Falloffs. Investment coming in from the side of ARP for very, very little. And all of a sudden, this is going to amount to about a 70-80 point lead by the time we head into a second rotation. NA Falloffs have just found the breaks when they need to. The rotations have been in their favor. ARP floundering a little now.
And it does just feel like NA Falloffs have kicked it up a notch. Playing really well as a team now, watching every single point of entry towards the hard point. That is about as perfect as a garage hold as you could possibly ask for if you're NA Falloffs. ARP now down by quite a margin, and you're starting to feel the snowball effect hit you as well. You've got 3 operators on side for NA Falloffs. You've got a couple of streaks in the back pocket for Shane, who has definitely stepped things up. The new kid on the block here for NA Falloffs. ARP, you've got to do something right about now. At the very least here, this smoke is doing enough to ensure that Envy does not get a variety of different kills, but they have a lot of backup plans. Backup plans on the backup plans as Envy finds more with their claw. Predator Missile comes down to slam one player out of the hard point as well. And at this point, even if you get a 30-30 hold on this hill, you're fine with that if you're at a fall-offs.
Oh, you are fine and dandy with that. You got the spawns here for P2 as well. You're holding them back at P1. There's just a line across the map that surely ARP can't find a way through. It's only grenades that can do anything, and Coldest with the Odin as well does a solid job. A little bit of pressure coming in onto Raballo. He will eventually get taken down, so there's going to be 10 seconds to play for ARP here. One player spawning out 2. These next couple of kills are going to be influential, as it is a partial spawn out for the side of NA Falloffs, even with the back control. So now those players over towards the backside just need to survive and wait for their teammates to find a way across. They can't find a way across. Well played from ARP. They cut off the middle of the map. They find a push towards the back. Washi's still surviving back there, though. One player has waltzed on through. Coldest and Co are just about holding on, but NA Falloff's not far away.
You can really fight this one from the backline. Nice manipulation of the spawns coming out from ARP. The players that did spawn towards the backline they have dealt with, but NA Falloffs want to install players in the backline. No idea how Envy has just won that second fight, but the spawns should now flip. Back in favor for NA Falloffs here. Again, not necessarily the best thing in the world if you don't win your gunfights here. Washi going to fly towards the hard point, but ARP are winning the majority of them. Swish finds a couple of kills. Shane now going to invest the Tempest, and that should be enough. This is really good for hill control. You can really do some damage as the Tempest changed through players. NA Falloffs now breaking in for the back 15 seconds. ARP trying to do their best here to cut them off at the source, but Shane is flying forward with the Tempest now. NA Falloffs getting time away from that hard point that arguably they should not have done. That is going to be damaging to ARP.
The thing is as well, ARP really committed for that bit of scrap time, and it is just absolutely smoked them. They all pushed towards it. They tried to get, what was it, 7 or 8 seconds left? And they lose the spawns for P3, and now all of a sudden NA Falloffs can set themselves up here. Cryzo does have the War Machine. It's ringing out across the map. He's not going to find a great deal with it. If anything, can find something on the Raballo, but gets taken down. It's a good hold from NA Falloffs. 45 seconds remaining here at P3. And they have an opportunity to pick it all up. Moshi and Envy combining well, and this has been so much better this week from NA Falloffs. So much better than what we even seen in map number 1. They're holding it down. ARP struggling to get near. Eventually they will, though. The break will come through a couple of operators as well. That didn't find a great deal, but Shane with the shots. NA Falloffs still here with plenty of presence.
Predator missile inbound.
ARP are in for the back 15 seconds, and I was gonna say that this is fine for NA Falloffs because you do have those garage spawns. You don't actually have those anymore, so NA Falloffs actually gonna have to put work in if they want to finish things off here on this garage hardpoint. A couple of players already pushed through here from Envy and Jez. That should now be good enough. Nope, never mind. Coldest is going to spawn in on the hardpoint here, so you're still going to have to fight for these players that trades you are perfectly fine with. But you are just seeing Jez hanging out towards the backline here, just keeping those players off from the old rotation while ARP fight this one from the front. Cryzo is the only thing keeping NA Falls off the hardpoint for now.
War Machine came out and was immediately deleted. So a bit of bad timing. That's just complete no find from the side of Falloffs. And a lot of investment coming out here from ARP because they need this time. They find themselves 60 seconds behind, and they may well be able to make up a lot of that gap here over towards P4. It's a good hold so far. Plenty of operators have been brought in to give them that little bit of breathing room, and they are still continuing to find kills. Coldest has done so well here, finding plenty, and ARP are holding this down perfectly right now. 20 seconds to play for. It's looking like it's going to go ARP's way. So in the end, they come off the winners of that rotation, Brody. They find the majority of that time, and they may well be able to find a break over towards P1. Coldest will find 2 here with the Predator missile as well, and if Falloff's starting to fumble just a little bit here. Yeah. ARP are starting to find their way back.
I don't know if I would have brought that Predator missile out right now. You probably don't need to clean space out just yet through the middle of the map until you're actually ready to capitalize on it. You haven't. NA Falloffs now back in towards this time. You're starting to see the operators come into play. Raballo just firing down range. More kills for Raballo. If he's not getting the kills himself, he is doing enough damage that NA Falloffs, the rest of the team, can be there to pick it up. Now equalizes out from Jez as well. These guys now starting to shoot straight. Just 24 seconds away from victory, and Jez is flying through every single player. That's 6 in a row now for him.
Still alive with the equalizers in hand. Static trying to do what he can. Jez does eventually get cut down. Concession going on in the middle of the map now as Raballo trying to do something. Kill starting to go ARP's way, but then it just flipped on its head. Jez finds another 2. You are less than 20 away. You can win it here if you're NA fall-offs. You've got to find a way through if you are ARP. Static now does have the Tempest out trying to do something. It's going to be a break coming through. NA fall-offs cannot win it here. Coldest inside the point, surviving somehow throughout all of that, but Predator Missile is just going to be hung up in the air. ARP are going to struggle to find a breakthrough. NA fall-offs still 13 away.
What are you going to do? One more wave of gunfights, you're good. You get one player spawning out on the other side of the map as well, so temporarily a 4 versus 5 towards this point. Annihilator coming out from Washi, though. He wants to call game, and that's 4 for a Washi. That might be it. One more wave of gunfights, and this is done.
ARP need to find a way through the fire and the literal flames as NA fall-offs will secure the job. It is done. They make themselves through to the finals. They will find the win through trials and tribulations. To be fair, Brody, look, I think, you know, you see them lose that map number 1 in the way that they did. 4-1 down in the Tunisia search and destroy, and then they find the way to come back into the game. They win the search, and they do not look back from there. It's a 3-1 victory for the side of NA fall-offs. Big turnaround from them after that map number 1.
Yeah, it just looked like they found another gear, right? I mean, I think I found like 3 or 4 gears, if I'm honest, mate. Just a totally different NA fall-offs from whatever was going on in map number 1, where they felt so much more disjointed. They gave so many more kills away to ARP. Some of the big shooters across the series shut down there in that one. Cryzo and Unravel, I think, just had such phenomenal slow starts that by the time even they kind of started shooting straighter, I'll say not straight, but straighter than they were at the start, it was just too little, too late. Just phenomenal play from NA fall-offs. And I'll say what I said I did even before we got into that game, which is just that when NA fall-offs want to play well, when they want to actually play well as a team, when they want to put the effort in, they can clearly do so. And honestly, I'll say this much. If we see that NA fall-offs, and I know it's easy to say versus that in ARP, but if we see that NA fall-offs in challenge finals, there's still a chance this team can win it all.
Massive opportunity is that. NA fall-offs really did turn it on those last 3 maps, Lauren. Really, really good performance.
ARP tried to show up. I felt like we were talking about how close this could have been series-wise. But once NA fall-offs got in a rhythm, they just kind of seemed like they were not about to let this opportunity slip through their fingers. And to be fair, we've put some pretty big expectations on their shoulders from the very beginning of this season, Brody. So it was about time that they really stepped up to the plate and proved why we had done that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that roster and it's just like this team should sweep everything, right? I mean, like even Undream, and that's a thing that we're going to talk about come playoffs, but like, you know, even Undream, it feels like just on paper, fall-offs should be a way better roster. And I think it's just, you know, the fact that this team very clearly was not playing at the caliber that we've seen them play in the past. You know, it's so abundantly clear that I think it was in the midway through the search and destroy, they were like, all right, cool. Let's just turn it on a little bit. Let's lock in, as it were, and they most certainly did lock in. I want to see more of this team. I want to see more of that team, and not the map number 1 fall-offs and what we saw last week.
Absolutely, and they're gonna have to bring it because it's not like they have a lot of time here, Ton, to really figure anything out. We go straight into our finals next week. So now that we know exactly who's playing, everyone needs to lock in, not just NA fall-offs.
Yeah, and there's 4 very, very good teams based on what we've seen today and of course over the last few weeks who are in those challenge finals and are going to be very, very difficult to deal with. So yeah, you need to step it up even further if you're NA fall-offs, especially if you want to go on and win. There's 2 teams in particular we're looking at who are going to be very, very difficult to beat. So yeah, for NA fall-offs, it's still back to the drawing board to a certain degree, but much improved performance this week.
Yeah, that was a fun day of matches, to be sure, which also means now that they're done, we're done with our day here in North America, but we're not done with this season just yet. Okay, we still have our challenge finals. We've been talking about them for quite some time. Now the top 4 teams in the region will be competing here next weekend. So if you want to keep up to date with anything we've got going on in the future, or we've got, you know, Mobile Masters even farther away, there's so much stuff coming on throughout the rest of the year. Follow us on social media, okay? X, Insta, and Facebook. That way you don't miss anything that we've got going on here in the SPS. Or you can join our Discord at discord.gg/Snapdragon Pro Series to join our community, talk all things Call of Duty Mobile, and continue getting all of our updates as well. But that is a wrap on our challenge season for North America. That's all we've got here for today. A ton. Brody, you guys smashed it all season long. I hope you're as ready for the finals as all of our players need to be now. They have a week of time to prepare, and Nexus and NA Falloffs are the last two teams joining our top 4 in North America. The competition will continue on next weekend, so make sure you guys tune back in to see who ends up being the best of the best at the end of it all. It's going to be an action-packed weekend for sure, but if you're wanting to follow even more Call of Duty mobile action this weekend, don't worry, we have our last day in EU tomorrow as well. So still more COD M action on the horizon. But for now, we're going to say goodbye. Huge thank you, as always, to Snapdragon Elite Gaming and DHL for helping us make this whole thing possible. And chat, as always, a massive thank you to all of you at home for hanging out with us and watching. We'll see you next week.
Series is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming and DHL.